Good evening. I'd like to call to order the Town Council regular session. The time is 7:50, and the date is January 23rd. Welcome. We have a few people in the town chambers, and if you could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Could we have the roll call, please, Dale?
Council President Whaley,
Present.
Council Vice President McAtee,
Here.
Councilwoman Eddy,
Here.
Councilwoman Fogarty,
Here.
Councilman O'Neill.
Here.
All members present.
Thank you, Dale. We have the approval of the minutes of previous meetings. We have the work session of January 9th, 2012.
I move approval of those minutes.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries 500. We have the regular session December 19th and January 9th.
I move approval of the regular session, December 19th and January 9th.
Second.
Motion and a second, and I just want to comment that the extensiveness of the December 19th, thank you, Dale. It's like word for word verbatim. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries 500. Would any town council person like anything removed from the consent agenda?
I move approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries 500. Which brings us to licenses. We have a resolution granting a victualling license to GenCare Incorporated, doing business as Subway, 1 Keeney Road, Kingston, Rhode Island, subject to approval by the URI Office of Safety and Risk Management. Application by Paul Gencarelli, President, 36 Tom Harvey Road, Westerly. And do we have anyone present to represent Subway? If you could come to the microphone, welcome. And are you Paul?
Yes, hi, Paul.
Thank you, Paul. We have the cameras rolling, and this is your big chance to let us know about Subway.
Oh, well, the university approached me probably in October and wanted us to operate a Subway inside of the ice hockey arena.
Boss Ice Arena.
Yeah, so
Nice.
hopefully that will go well.
So, do we have questions here at the table? Polly?
Will you have the typical excellent sandwiches at Subway?
We hope so, yeah. We're going to try for that.
That's
So a
what you,
full-service Subway inside there.
yeah. Will you serve anything else besides?
They're going to have they have a coffee machine that does the cappuccinos, because it's going to be inside the arena. It'll be cold, so hot chocolates, coffees, and stuff like that, too. So.
Good, thank you.
Jim? And then Carol? Carol?
Paul, do you have any other Subways? Do you own any others?
Yeah, I own the one on 99 Fortin Road,
Oh.
right at in the plaza.
And when do you plan on opening?
Well, it depends, maybe another 60 to 90 days,
Very good. And your hours of operation?
probably 7 to 9, 7 a.m., 9 p.m.
So they won't be eating with those late hockey hours.
And we may stay open later depending if there's games or not, but yeah.
Jim?
So your hours really are dependent on the ice use schedule with the university?
Right, they want us to be open from 7 to 9, but if there's
7 a.m. to
a.m.,
9
sir.
p.m.?
9 p.m., yeah. And if there's games at night, then we'll stay open later, or just depends on the schedule for the university, whatever they set.
Yeah, I just didn't know they were that busy in the morning at the ice rink, but maybe they are.
No, we're gonna keep it open for the public too, keep it so it
All
won't
right,
just
well, I was
be.
going to get to that. So the public's
traffic.
involved with this too, obviously.
Well, they'll have it open for the public, plus the students, all the major sporting facilities are down that end of the campus. It'll be more convenient for the dorms and the fraternities, people that are living on campus to eat.
Do
I
you
think the high school hockey team starts real early,
Oof.
like 5:30, 6 o'clock.
They're right there really early.
I think they
So
go.
feed them breakfast when they're
Yeah.
done with there, maybe.
Because you do have your good breakfast now,
Do,
your
yeah.
wraps that are under 200 calories. I saw
That's
your
right, there's
commercial during the whole
advertising, yeah.
game yesterday.
Subway's got good stuff, yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Right.
hopefully it'll work out well.
Do you do deliveries?
We're just testing that right now. We're starting with this inside the campus, not anything farther than that. We have a student who graduated from the school is working with us now to deliver to the dormitories. So,
Jim?
I guess I'm a little baffled here, but, I mean, are you competing with the Upper College, the Fortin Road, with your own business and other businesses? I'm just trying to see how the university, how this is going to work.
yeah, Subway looks at it as a captive audience, so the primary business we're going to get is from the hockey teams, the sports, all the games. Like you said, like North Kingstown, Narragansett, Prout, they use that as their hockey facility. So we're going to get that business there. And then, the students that, I think the dorms is closer to this location than the one on top of College, so it'll be more convenient for the people that live on Lower College Road to eat.
I certainly agree with you. It's just that this council looks at the most incredible turnover of restaurant businesses, mainly up at the Emporium area, up at College Road every year. I would dare say we have 8, 10, 12 every year, the turnover. And
right?
it just looks like they're absolutely eating each other's lunch, but maybe that's the world of competition.
But I think Subway has been really stable there. How many years have you been there?
I think the Subway's been there since the 70s, I want to say.
Yeah,
There's
I mean, that is-
Store 2355, and they're up to 40,000 now, so
Yeah.
they've had so many stores. So they're a strong brand. I think they're going to draw a customer base. And this particular store that we have now is busy, so busy we can't handle. I think it's going to pick up,
Right.
some of the locals that wouldn't come because the students are there now, and during that lunch rush, we can't really handle more. I guess it's a good problem.
Do you get the opportunity to attend any of the conferences or yearly conventions that Subway sponsors?
Oh, yeah, they're invited every year we go. The last one I went to was in Las Vegas. They're having this one's in Orlando, I think. And then if you're a multi-unit owner, they give you a special one. And so if I get the second store, then I'll be a
We have
multi-unit
family
one.
members that own 6 Subways, a relative of a relative. So
Oh,
we
yeah?
hear about those conventions
Oh, good.
yearly. Jim?
6 of them, that's great.
Steve, is the Boss Arena, is that government property, state property? And what goes on with for-profits? And I thought this was an issue that was on our agendas coming up with the north side of the campus.
The Boss Arena had in-house services. They were URI that was providing the food in that operation. They decided that they wanted to go out of house and have that run as a private sector operation. With that as a private sector operation and is not going through URI books, this facility, as far as the tangible property within it, will be subject to taxation. This is something that I've already discussed with Vice President Wagon.
Okay, you have. Okay, good. All right, thank you.
Okay, any further comments here at the table? Questions?
I move approval of new license A.
Second?
Motion and a second. Ready to vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries 500. We wish you the best of luck,
I
Paul.
appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Our second license tonight is a resolution granting a victualling license to the Rhode Island House, 99 Fortin Road, Kingston, Rhode Island, subject to approval by the Fire Chief and Communications Superintendent. Application by Karen Boutros, 110 East Pasquesset Trail, Charlestown, Rhode Island. And do we have anyone to represent the Rhode Island House? Roadhouse, sorry. And welcome. Are you Karen?
Yes, I am.
Hi, welcome. And if you could tell us a little bit about your endeavor?
We actually also are at the URI Emporium at the top of the campus.
Micro, yeah. Thank you.
We just took over, there was a restaurant previously there that we just took over. We're going to do, it's almost like a Kentucky Fried Chicken Panera Bread combination with the fried chicken dinners, rotisserie chicken, paninis, wraps, salads. A little healthier side of the Emporium.
Questions here at the table?
Do you know the name of the business that you're replacing?
Varanasi,
Oh.
it was Indian food.
And when do you plan on opening?
we're hopefully the end of this week, beginning of the week, next week. We already have one business in the Emporium, so this will be our second.
Oh, what's the name of that one?
We have International Pizza.
Oh,
Yep. And the hours of operation?
We're looking at from 11 a.m. till 1 a.m.
So you're doing lunches?
Yes.
Did you say this was mainly chicken?
It's the fried chicken, the rotisserie chicken, paninis, wraps, and salads.
Thank you.
That's good.
Yeah, it does. I'm hungry.
Any further questions here at the table?
I move approval of new business item C.
License C, but I'll second. License C.
License C, we have a motion and we have a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries 500. Karen, best of luck.
Thank you so much.
Good luck.
Our third license is a resolution granting a Shellfish Farm Produce license to Salt Pond Oyster Company, 54 Periwinkle Road, Wakefield, Rhode Island, application by David Roebuck, 104 Wayland Trail, Narragansett, Rhode Island. And do we have, welcome, if you'd like to come to the microphone. David?
Hi.
Hi.
So 6 months ago, I bought a food truck, and my family has commercial fishing boats, and I like to sell the food that they catch through the truck. And I operate an oyster farm in Point Judith Pond, and I like to shuck the oysters out as well through the truck. We'll go to festivals and gatherings and do home delivery and private events. That's what we're hoping to do.
Very nice. Questions here at the table? Jim and then Polly?
Oh, just the process, so you're growing these babies out in the pond, salt pond. So you're bringing shore whole, putting in the truck whole, but delivering whole? Or at what point do you shuck, and where's all this happening?
I built a raw bar that hangs off the back of the truck can be, easily put up and taken down. So I'll be selling them whole, and for people who want to take them home and open them themselves, or shuck them off the raw bar off the back. I've been approved by the Department of Health and the food safety certification already. So.
Now, can you, I'm sorry, Paul, just to finish on that.
Finish up, Jim, of course.
Now, does this business have to keep moving? What is the peddler license? Okay.
That's right.
All right, so
That's right.
Okay,
Yeah.
specific locations, okay.
Polly?
And my question was on location. Do you plan to go all through South County?
Yeah, I hope so. Anywhere from Westerly to Providence.
Oh, great. So you'll all over the state.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a mobile van food truck. So
Wonderful. And how long have you been growing oysters?
10 years.
Wow. Thank you.
Nice. Kathy?
What do you get out of a farm in a season? Like, say, like a summer season? How many oysters when you plant? I'm just always interested to see.
Yeah, we've been growing ever since 2002. So the more you plant, the more you hope to harvest.
Really? So
But the
it's-
numbers change every year. We've had big mortality years, and so it all depends.
Okay. Why don't you give us your phone number, because slowly, so if you're like a home delivery service, that would
Yeah.
be a good thing. And I assume that you probably have a website.
Yeah.
Would it be let me put my glasses on,
Yeah.
the Shellfish, the Salt Pond Oyster Company?
It's actually, I named it the Shuckin' Truck, so it's
Shucking Truck, see? Okay.
shuckintruck.com. Yeah.
Shuckingtruck.com, okay.
Seen it in town.
And you can give the number, because people will see this on TV too, so it might be if they want,
Okay, great.
home delivery, you could tell
Yeah,
us.
741-5953.
No, I think it's a great
5993?
idea. Glad to see
Thanks.
it, yeah.
5953, I heard.
Obviously been a lot of success with the oyster bar that's in town, the Matunic Oyster
Yeah,
Bar. and
yeah,
This is just
yeah,
a
it's
growing
doing a great
business. And
job.
I recall years ago when it came forward as, the aquaculture, that nobody really kind of had a grasp of what it was, and it really has become a huge, huge part of the Rhode Island economy, really.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, it's been good.
Good, excellent.
I
Great
just want to
Thank you.
repeat the phone number, 741-5953.
Right, yeah.
Thank you. Jim?
Yeah, is most of your lease farm in the Narragansett side of the pond, or is it split, South Kingstown, Narragansett?
It's pretty much split. I think most of it is on the Narragansett side, though.
How many acres altogether?
It's 21 and a half.
Okay, okay. And are you responsible for my loss of I used to love the Salt Pond Selects. Can you tell me where they've disappeared to?
Unfortunately, most of them go to New York.
Why?
Yeah, that's what
They'll pay for it. Oh, that's cruel. How about a quick lesson, though? Does a salt pond, just because of the flow of the tides, do they just grow fatter and thicker and healthier on a shorter-term basis than the ponds, smaller ponds?
Yeah, they all grow. It all depends when you harvest them. If you let them grow longer, they grow bigger, obviously. And mine are bottom planted, so I can let them go on the bottom. I don't have to tend to the gear as much as a lot of other guys do. So when you have a gear farm, you tend to get them out of the gear quicker, so it's less labor intense. But I let mine go on the bottom a little bit longer, so that's why they get a little bigger. But
Thank you.
Carol?
Are you going to do anything other than oysters?
yeah,
You said
my brother's a
produce.
scallop fisherman, and I'm going to try to sell his scallops. And my father's a lobsterman, so
So will you be
And-
cooking them in the truck, too?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
great.
yeah.
Wow.
Like lobster rolls and,
My nephew digs quahogs, so we're trying to
oh,
do.
very good, very good.
He's only 5, but.
So I assume you're not bringing these things off the bottom with your heels. This is a mechanized system. No. Never mind, that's fine. Sorry. All right.
This is exciting.
Yeah.
Okay, any further discussion here at the table?
I move approval of license D.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries 500. Good luck, David.
Thank you very much.
Any samplers, David, before you leave tonight?
Okay, at this time, I'd like to open the public hearing. We have a public hearing relative to the proposed fiscal year 2012-2013 to fiscal year 2017-2018 capital improvement program as shown on Exhibit 1 attached here too. And we have concluded with 3 capital improvement meetings, one on January 4th, 5th, and 11th. And I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Alfred.
Over those meetings, town staff has presented the envisioned capital improvements for the next 6 years, and is in a prioritized order, pay-as-you-go portion of the 6-year capital program will pay $4.8 million. Grants will contribute $1.28 million, and impact fees an additional $1.28, for the total of $20,040,000 projected. For fair share fees for the 2012-13 year, we're proposing fees of $3,244 for single and duplex units. Multi-households with 2 bedrooms or less would be at 50% of that cost, or $1,622. And 1 bedroom and second apartment multi-household unit types would be at $1.25 or $811. The difference, there was no difference from what was adopted by the council in the 11-12 year on the education fees. On the rec fees, we're proposing $2,867 for single, and we're proposing for households with 2 bedrooms or less, as well as the multi-household units of 1 bedroom, a fee of $2,150. The education fees are down $91, as was adopted in the current year for singles, and $68 for 2 bedrooms. The reduction in the fees is directly related to the 2010 census, with the documentation of persons per household. The 2000 households were paying at 2.56 people per unit, with 2010's 2.6. The 2 bedroom or less also saw an increase from 1.92 to 1.95. This made a difference as far as the mathematical calculations from what we see. The last item presented is the calculation for in-lieu fees for affordable housing units. This is when a subdivider using the ability to increase housing density by 20% is unable, and the planning board not required to construct the affordable units within the subdivision or within a neighborhood, or indeed have existing before effort for lessen affordable housing in the community. What we have here is a review of what the average cost per single-family unit is in South Kingstown, $290,000. We are also then looking at what 30% of income going toward the purchase of a house based on the median average income in South Kingstown. What is affordable housing in itself for $207,000. Therefore, the difference is $3,000 revenue in any developer that was unable to commit and to build the affordable units within the subdivision regulations. We'd like to answer any questions council has on any of the information that's presented here or within the budget document itself.
Jim?
Steve, I think you mentioned on the school fund that their capital request could change by the time you receive the budget on February 14th.
Could actually change in any of the funds. What this is really not to exceed number that, so that there's no surprises on the capital components going into each of the budgets. Even on the general fund, if we saw that we needed to cut back on capital projects as a means of trying to balance the budget, it can be done in the same here with the school fund.
I mean, I'm thinking, for instance, the school track. I just would like to make sure that that has been examined by experts and engineering experts. Are we 50,000 too high, 50,000 too low? We just didn't have what I feel is a solid early estimate on that predicted cost.
I don't disagree with you that we need to firm up that number.
Okay.
We will, by the time this gets before the council, in budget reviews in March.
Okay. And the last question, Al, if I may, the in calculation of in lieu fees, I always forget that. Is that calendar year 2011? Is that fiscal year ending June 30, 2011? All right, thank you.
Further comments or questions here at the table for Steve? At this time, I'm going to open it to any questions of the public on the capital improvement program. So at this time, if anybody has any questions from the public, if you could come to the microphone and please state your name, we'd like to welcome.
Seeing none, then I'd like to move then approval
Close the
as
public hearing.
reported. Oh, we have to close first?
Yes.
Let's close first then.
Mo-
Second.
We have a motion to close with a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries 500. The public hearing is now closed. Can we have a motion, please, to accept the capital improvement program?
So moved.
Second?
We have motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries 500. Thank you, Steve, and to all of the town staff for putting together the capital improvement program. Every year, it just amazes me with the amount of detail that you go through, so thank you. Which brings us to the communications item on the agenda. This is a communication dated November 9th, 2011, from Clay Johnson, Chair of Southern Rhode Island Chamber of Commerce, requesting a property tax exemption for their office property of Old Tower Hill Road is continued from November 28th, 2011, and the Town Council further directs. So, somebody would like to start this conversation? Or if we would like to have somebody come and speak from the audience on this. Welcome.
Good evening.
And if you could just state your name for the
Sure.
record.
My name's Clay Johnson. I'm the writer of the letter and the chair of the Southern Rhode Island Chamber of Commerce.
Welcome.
I'm happy to be here this evening. I brought with me several representatives from our board of directors, and I wanted to talk to you briefly about the reason for the Chamber of Commerce, and several other members of the board of directors would like to talk this evening, including our executive director, Joe Iacocca, who wants to talk about the events and the things that the Chamber does to bring value to the town. Dick Pike also wants to speak. He's our resident historian and will tell you about the various visits by President Washington to South Kingstown. And our past chair, Joe Veely, would like to talk about some of the things that we have planned for the coming year, coming off our recent board retreat of 2 weeks ago. But to talk a little bit about the Chamber of Commerce. The Chamber of Commerce was established in 1933. It's recognized as a 501c6 corporation. Many people are familiar with a 501c3, which is a charitable corporation. A 501c6 is the IRS designation for a Chamber of Commerce, and chambers of commerce are established to serve the common business interests of the businesses in the area. We have a board of 23 board members, including 22 volunteers, as well as our paid executive director. And we placed this request in for a tax exemption, which really is, to us, a swap. We're paying $6,734 in taxes on a new building that we had built, which was completed in 2007. We also receive a town appropriation of $7,000. So our request was to have the property taxes exempted and to forego the request for the $7,000. So for the town, it's a net savings of a little over $200. And our intention is not to submit any further requests for any funding. Why do I think we deserve this? Our job is to help grow businesses in the town. And growing businesses support the town by providing additional tax revenue. Revenue that's derived not from raising tax rates, but from a growing community. And we feel this creates a virtuous cycle where growing tax base and growing businesses creates more paychecks for folks in the community. These paychecks pay the mortgages, they pay for the food, they pay the electricity, the oil bills, and hopefully, especially in a better economy, they leave some discretionary income for the residents to spend at other local businesses. And this, I think, is what creates a vital community. Having folks that are willing to live here. We know this is a bedroom community, but we also want places to work in the town. So I'd like to certainly answer any questions you have, and then when you're done with me, I'd like to turn you over to our executive director for some information on the details, the nuts and bolts of what happens at the chamber.
Thank you. Do we have questions here at the table? Jim?
Clay, can you give us an idea of, A, how many members, B, how many calls? Can you give us some kind of numerical ratio that you have to help our local businesses out here in town?
Many of those questions are going to be better directed at our executive director.
All right.
He's the paid staff that handles all the day-to-day operations. I'll remind you that 22 of us are volunteers and run our own businesses day-to-day. The last number that I saw was about 585 members. That number has been relatively stable. We've been proud to keep our numbers stable in a very down economy, and we've seen lots of businesses fail. But our job has been trying to keep that number up through various programs that we're going to talk about tonight.
All right, and should I wait for Joe or maybe Dick Pike? I was going to ask you how you raised the money for your building and land that you currently occupy.
Certainly, there were lots of generous contributions, both through the land and through our capital campaign, which recently we wrapped up with the completion of the building and a lot of the pledges coming in. So that was all done through members and volunteers and the activities of the chamber.
All right, and if there's any mortgage, then the chamber is paying that off.
There is an existing mortgage. We've included that in our budget functionally as rent, as an operational expense.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, but anyway, all the money raised for that, none came from government, none came from the state, none came from grants. They were all charitable contributions that were, successfully raised during the capital campaign.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
I think Polly and then Carol. I'm not sure who was first, so.
You want to go, Carol?
You can go, Polly, go ahead.
Okay. I was interested in the 501c3, Mr. Johnson. C3,
Right.
because that is for
C6.
charitable.
Yes, we're a 501c6.
I realize you are, and that is for, as you say, you serve businesses.
Yes.
And I think that it's important to realize there is a difference there.
There certainly is a difference.
For instance, when Jim said charitable contributions, the money that was given to build the building, could that be tax-exempt money?
It could not.
It could not.
And that functionally is the biggest difference between a C3 and a C6.
C6.
Yes,
Thank you very much.
sure.
And is it common for most chambers throughout the state to have the 501c6? Is that, that's the only one that they can get?
Yes,
Okay.
correct.
Thank you. Carol?
Clay, where were you located prior to 2007?
I believe the address just prior to that, and the chamber has moved around a bit, so that might be a great question for Mr. Pike.
The historian?
The historian, yes, was on Main Street, where I believe there's a barber shop located now.
And when you said about the land was donated?
I
or
believe so. Yeah.
At the current location?
Yes.
And do you know if other chambers of commerce have the tax exempt status throughout the state? Are you aware of any?
I'm not. Various chambers of commerce receive various levels of support from local communities, everything from donated buildings through town appropriations.
Thank you.
Sure.
I'm just going to, well, actually, this will come up later on with different events that have happened in the past, so I'll wait.
Okay. I'll turn it over to Mr. Iacocca.
Thank you. Welcome.
Excuse me, I have it cold over the weekend, so I'm going to do my best. Good evening, and for the record, Joseph J. Iacocca, Executive Director of the Southern Rhode Island Chamber of Commerce. And it's nice to be here this evening, back in the chambers here in South Kingstown. And before I begin, a few words on the real and personal property tax exemption request from our membership. I just wanted to express a thank you to you all for your support for our organization over the past 3 years as I've been the executive director for the business community that you serve. As we work together to help support and keep these businesses thriving and keeping their doors open, you all worked hard, as we do, to promote the stable and diversified local economy. In my words, you can't beat working together and build bridges to see our area become a destination for shopping, dining, and staying local. I wish you all a happy and healthy new year, as this is my first visit here, as you embark on your capital campaign and your capital improvement programs and budget times during these economic times. The economic development is such a big ticket item these days. We are taking the lead in transforming our town into an engine of economic development and diversity in southern Rhode Island. And we're working together with our EDC committee also to see so much for the good of our town residents and many visitors that we help daily from our Tourist and Information Center at 230 Old Tower Hill Road. Usually the small business sector leads the economy out of economic recessions, creating the net new jobs. Small businesses appear to be very concerned about the sustainability of this recovery, and the uncertainty of this recovery leads to the ultimate cost of hiring additional people that we all need. While Rhode Island is not out of the woods economically yet, I have been able to tell people around the area some of the positive things our community leaders have done and we at the Chamber have done, and we hear such good response. Marketing one's business is critical today, and social media is playing a bigger and better role in that direction for our Chamber members. Our Board of Directors and staff are excited about our Chamber with the benefits of marketing, advertising, communication experiences, and it's a real plus these days for the Chamber and its members. Some of the local events that the Board Chair mentioned that I'd just like to make note of at this time are some of the good things that we've done and worked with the community, mainly Dancing with the South Kingstown Stars, which with the proceeds in the last couple of years have been split with the Domestic Violence Resource Center. Our annual golf ball drop raffle coordinated sales and earnings with local nonprofits. Our annual golf outing, which with the proceeds are split in a Partners for the Community golf outing with the South Kingstown Lions Club. Our annual meeting, which is a great opportunity for the businesses to celebrate success. And our ever popular First Friday coffees and our business after hours, which are held monthly. We facilitated a lot of discussion with the business climate and economic development. Our scholarship program at our local South Kingstown High School this year was a huge success. Our support for school to career programs, our annual job fair. In fact, we just scheduled one working with the University of Rhode Island Career Services for the first time on April 4th, 2012 at the Ryan Center. So we're looking forward to some of these great events that we're doing with our state university. Our gift certificate program, which has been so successful and growing every day. And in recent weeks, as Councilor O'Neill and Councilor Whaley and McAtee attended or plan to attend the America's Cup planning that we're doing along with Mr. Nada from staff. We're working with the town of Narragansett and the town of South Kingstown to finally put something together on this side of the bay. We're working together for a June event to kick off. South County celebrates the American Cup, and it's going to be an event that's going to be worth attending. As you can see, the Chamber offers a special opportunity to combine your love of the community and your people with professional experiences. As mentioned, since 1933, and we're in our 78th year, we are working together to maximize our members' benefits. Upon my initial approach back in my initial letter back on, I think, 12/9/09, I can remember that date, to then President Kathy Fogarty, the Chamber built its new attractive location from Main Street and has proved to be a partner with municipal government since 2007, and we have never asked for a property exemption like other chambers have in other communities in our state prior to having this new facility. But tonight we are, because we feel we can work and earn our mission statement with our town and its elected officials. We work hard to expand our community's tax base and to encourage the development and retention of skilled employment for local residents. This discussion tonight is good for the business community It shows that you all understand the revenue you receive annually from the hotel tax and meals and beverage receipts that go directly to your budget. Our request is a revenue-neutral proposal. We look forward to this discussion this evening, and we look forward to your approval of this exemption on behalf of the board, the staff, and over 575 members, some present this evening. We are doing a better job today connecting business to the town. And this makes good business sense, it strengthens our membership, and it strengthens our community. I appreciate, and we all appreciate, the opportunity to say a few words on behalf of the Southern Rhode Island Chamber here this evening. I'll be glad to entertain any questions.
Thank you, Joe. Questions here at the table for Joe? Carol?
Joe, do you know of any other chambers that receive a tax exemption status in the state?
Yes, I do.
And can you tell me?
I'll be glad to. The town of Westerly, one chamber way, very instrumental in my prior world to that exemption as a full property and personal property exemption to that chamber. The Northern Rhode Island Chamber is exempt, but they receive, I think, from 8 communities, $1,500. The town of East Greenwich pays rent. The town of Charlestown pays taxes of $3,100. The town of, what's the other town I just wanted to mention quickly? Newport, they get a total different structure with the tourism tax and so forth, but they pay like $10,000. I think it's just over $10,000 in taxes on their structure and their facility out there. But that just gives you a little insight of what I know, and most of them pay rent, like Cranston pays rent. They're relocating to the Garden City complex there, Garden City Mall complex, and they pay rent. So it's a multiple, there's different variations, but that'll give you a little insight.
How many calls do you generally get, Joe? Would you say a week or a day? How do you monitor that?
Telephones or?
For referrals, calls from people looking for hotels,
We get
restaurants,
we get
businesses?
2,788 hits a month on our website. We entertain just under 4,000 visitors from April to November. We probably entertain, this time of year it's a little less, but because of the weather and so forth, but I bet you we entertain 25 to 40 calls a day, referrals, and our Welcome and Information Center, we call it, is well supported with our members' paraphernalia and collateral promotional activity. So we're out there promoting. As we receive a call, staff will give 2 to 3 members referrals a day type thing.
Thank you. Oh, I just had one more question.
Please go ahead.
Oh, sorry, Polly. When you talked about the Dancing with the Stars, the golf ball drop, and the golf outing, now, you take the certain amount of the proceeds from those events go to support the chamber, is that correct?
Correct. The Dancing with the Stars, I mentioned, we split the 50-50 with domestic violence. The golf outing, we split 50-50 with South Kingstown Lions. And the golf ball drop is totally to the Chamber of Commerce. After working with the Wakefield Rotary Club, they charge an admission to the event, but they allow us to participate as an activity in the event.
And those events, they've been successful, have they not?
I think they have.
Yeah, I think so. That's all.
Polly?
Joe, I'm not sure I understood your answer to Carol's first question. It would be then that the Westerly Chamber and the Northern Rhode Island Chambers have tax exemption.
Right.
Is that correct?
Westerly has a full real estate and personal property exemption, and the town of Westerly supports them with a $40,000 restricted account for marketing and advertising to their chamber. The Northern Rhode Island Chamber, that's headed up by Mr. Gregory, has support of $1,500 from the 8 communities that he supports in that region. And he's exempt, yes.
Further questions here at the table? I'm just going to,
that's right. Go ahead if you were in the...
This book that you put out, South Kingstown Chamber of Commerce, this is a list of all of your members?
Correct. That is, we're the only chamber in the state of Rhode Island, we're proud of it, to publish a quarterly business community guide. Most chambers do a yearly event for that publication. We do it quarterly, so a new member joins us today, they'll be in the next quarter's edition, and they'll take advantage of the advertising and the promotion and the marketing of it. That's supported by local advertising. There's 5,000 copies that are made of that. We distribute from the railroad station to the, we did the visitor center out in Route 95, exit 3, but that no longer will be an area for us. But we're looking forward to going out with the South County Tourism Council to publicize our chamber at the Route 92 or exit 92 in Connecticut. It's the visitor center at the former, I grew up knowing it as the R&R truck stop, but it's the truck, Republic truck area at exit 92 on Route 95, which is just inside of Connecticut. We also distribute to local libraries, local neighborhood guild, the local town hall here. We also distribute to the Tourism Council on Route 1, and also at URI, the visitor center.
And do you have a ballpark figure for, your annual figure that you may sell with your gift certificates to try to keep
Sure
local?
do. I sure do. This past, just to show you, it's growing every year. We probably had a bump up about 3 to 4% this past year. Christmas time is probably our heaviest, and then also during the end of school year, because a lot of the parents come in for a gift certificate for the bus driver or for their teacher or things of that nature. So this past year, we probably realized, I can give you about $8,500 in gift certificate program.
Okay.
And that's supported by 2 sponsors, just to show you. People's Credit Union and also the Holiday Inn support that as our primary sponsors of that whole program. And it's part of the shop local, be local, all that good stuff.
Which is key for a successful community, I
Keep the
believe.
money right here, yes.
That's right. Further questions here at the table? Jim?
Joe, I know I kind of invited myself to your EDC and chambers and working with Narragansett to your meetings on the America's Cup.
It's nice to see you there.
Oh, yeah, it's kind of exciting. What else have you done with our EDC committee?
Yeah,
where have you targeted? What are you doing?
Yeah, just to show you that last October, I think you all participated along with town staff. I worked very closely with Larry Fish of EDC and also Ed Massey from the EDC of Narragansett. And we had that open forum at the Holiday Inn. That was probably a great start to have some dialogue and some interesting ways that I know this community supports and does a big collaboration already with the town of Narragansett. But it's just another way to get the business community and the residents involved. And we're looking forward to doing more of those type of collaborations as we go forward.
And question 2, which I asked earlier, all the monies you raised for the land, your current building, those were all through your capital campaign. There's no government money or support.
No, Jim, when I took over the position in April of '09, the capital campaign was on its last couple of months of activity, and that was all fundraised by the prior administration, all by great support of community businesses, and even the small business was very involved. Some businesses were given $50 a month, some were given $100 a quarter, and a lot of different levels of participation occurred for that whole event to put up one of the best looking buildings in the state of Rhode Island for a Chamber of Commerce.
And where have you hidden the trolleys during the winter?
The trolleys are at, according to Doug Brady from the Southern Rhode Island Chamber, they're undercover at Ted Wright's property. And we're looking forward to doing that again, yes.
Thank you. Thanks, Alan.
Carol?
Joe, as we all know, it's been a difficult economic times of late. in the past several years. So you probably know better than anybody how difficult it is for small businesses in this area to make ends meet, to make a profit, to keep paying their employees. Could you give us your insight as to that?
Yeah, thank you. That's a great question because it's a daily effort on behalf of myself and our board of directors and our staff. I mean, just like in the last month, we're getting people saying, you know, the next 6 weeks are very crucial to my business, our business plan. We're not meeting enough money to even pay our dues, and we're putting more people, more businesses on a flex program to accommodate them, to put them on a monthly or a quarterly or a semi-annual payment plan. Just yesterday, Friday, I got a call from a local business in Narragansett that was in business for 13 years, and he's got to move on, and you know, he's just wants to leave the state of Rhode Island. And those are the things that we tried to stay focused and positive with on a daily basis. And it takes time on my behalf to outreach when I'm out there prospecting, from a community business in Richmond to a business in East Greenwich or a business in Charlestown. It's just, everybody's feeling it, and we just try and do our best, and hopefully they'll just participate and take advantage of a chamber that really wants to be the economic engine for the southern region.
And with that in mind, I know you had a recent retreat, so certain goals were set to promote today's businesses and the struggle that they all face. And that's going to be a difficult task at best.
Yeah, but our board really handled it very well. Thank you for asking that. We did have our annual retreat on January 11th at the University of Rhode Island Alumni Center, hosted us, and they've done that since I've been on board. And it went very well. It showed that the board is really engaged and the staff is engaged to go forward with the best business practices that we could think of collectively, and also to, you know, use video on our website, do testimonials, show that we're out there for you as a business owner and you as a community elected official, that economic development means a lot to all of us, and I think we're working very hard on that.
Jim?
Joe, you mentioned the job fair coming up. Is this mainly a local small business? You have any good-sized companies, and who do you work
We do.
with sponsors?
This is going to be the biggest, I think, we're going to see, where we open it up to the Department of Labor and Training. We're working with the state out of the Cranston office, and also I met this morning with the Wakefield office here at the Government Center. And in fact, I had to wait a half hour because they came to work too late because they had to shovel the sidewalk, she told me. But it was cute the way she was just so positive about it. And we're going to reach out to different companies that are not even chamber members. We want to bring them down here to the Ryan Center and have the applicant be aware of some of these nice companies we have in Rhode Island. And we're excited about it. And I think working with the university is going to be a positive thing for us as the chamber goes forward, doing an event like this.
But who are some of the companies that'll be setting up shop there to interview the applicants? And it's a good thing to get out in television land here, because there might be folks looking, and a date on that too.
Yeah, it's April 4th, and it's at the Ryan Center. We have companies to the level of Carousel Industries. We have a company to the marketing and advertising companies throughout the state. And the chamber and the Career Services Department of the university, I've really looking forward to getting some quality. I haven't seen the list yet, Jim, but I just know of some referrals that we provided to them so far from our membership, that it's a low-cost event for many businesses, because we recognize the times, like mentioned by Ms. McAtee. We recognize the times to make sure that business participates the best it can.
Where's that held, at Ryan Center, or where's it held in the campus?
Ryan Center, yes.
Ryan Center, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Carol? Joe, in different ways you help small businesses, and as I see it, you offer networking opportunities. The job fair would help people find jobs, obviously. Advertising opportunities and referrals from people who call in on a daily basis looking for restaurants, hotels, lawyers, dry
right.
cleaners,
No, we do.
whatever, real estate agents, there's many more. But
In the transfer station, we get a lot of calls. What are the hours of the transfer
Really?
station? Honest to God, we get a lot of calls there.
beaches, you must get a lot of calls for beaches.
We do.
Where's the beach?
And just last week, I had a conversation with Andy as this community recognizes its new facility. You know, we're ready to help there, and we're ready to, assist in anything that we could do to streamline. I know we can't do too much with the pass process of getting beach passes, but just to be involved there with the community on the shoreline, working with the neighborhood guild and Terry and her staff. So all those good things we like to outreach and keep our visitors welcomed and informed of where they can have a great day here in Southern Rhode Island.
And the businesses benefit from all of these different opportunities that you offer, and they are successful in gaining more business and exchanging ideas with other local business members. And I think that's very important, and I think that's...
Thank you. And as you participate in the chamber, what you put into it is what you're going to get out of it. And
Right.
That's proven many, many a times over the years with not just this local chamber, but chambers throughout the country.
Further questions here at the table?
I'll be glad to answer any questions as we go forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
No.
Good evening. My name is Richard Pike, and I have been on the Chamber Board for, I believe, 20-plus years, and I can answer some of those questions about where we were. We were at one time where the pizza place is right now on Main Street, and then we were at where Brickley's Ice Cream is before we moved to our building. And we did purchase the land. It was not given to us. We purchased, actually it was a divided plot, unbuildable lot, and we purchased a piece of it from the Jaber family and a piece of it from the state of Rhode Island, which then commingled it and made it a buildable lot with some help from the zoning board. I'm going to try to be brief because I think Joe covered very eloquently just about everything there is, but we're not here looking for a handout, we're looking for a hand up, and we help business every day, which in turn helps the town. I know the town gets currently, and Steve will correct me if I'm wrong, I'm sure, over $500,000 in meal tax and over $50,000 in hotel tax. We help businesses every day through networking, things that have already been mentioned, training, referrals, advertising, shop local campaigns. As we help those businesses grow, the town receives a greater share of revenue. As those businesses grow, they hire more people. The more people they hire, the more people they employ, the less social services that are needed in the community. So the Chamber is constantly trying to improve and trying to help those people, and we're here to ask you to help us help them. We're not looking for a handout. So that's all I have to say. If you have any questions, I'll be happy. Okay.
Any questions here at the table for Mr. Pike? And is there another speaker?
Joe Veely, I believe.
Yep, Joe Veely.
Good evening. Joe Veely from Liberty Rentals, past chair of the Chamber of Commerce, also a member of your EDC. They didn't leave me a lot left to say. I just want to briefly give you a snapshot of what we do. We call it the 5 pillars. Advocacy, we're the voice for business, and we listen and bring information back to our members from government, state and local. Connections, we have a great networking program that connects businesses with each other and then hopefully with their customers. Credibility, we've, at our last retreat last year, we introduced a study that was done that said automatically being a chamber member lends some credibility to your business. This chamber does a special job, I think, in that respect. Education, we have an education program that I'm going to talk about in a second. And referrals, and Joe pointed to how many website hits we get and how many visits we get a day. It's a great referral system And you probably wouldn't think for a business like mine, but I get referrals as well. What the building has done differently for us, instead of being on Main Street, is I think we've been able to direct an awful lot of traffic down that hill. An awful lot of people are stopping off the highway now that used to go to the next exit. We're sort of directing those people this way. As far as our retreat, our most recent retreat, some of the things that came out of it, and I think what I'd like you to pay attention to is who's taken charge of certain things. Joan Dwyer owns All That Matters on Main Street in Wakefield, local business person, volunteers a lot of hours. She's taken the task of re-examining our educational system to keep it up to date and make something that's good, very good. Brian Fish from Pier Cleaners, another local business. He's taken charge of an event committee that will oversee all the events and re-examine the whole process. What works, what doesn't work, what can we improve on? There's a guy called Joe Veely who's looking at retooling our ambassador program, because the ambassador program is what not only helps with new membership, but with retention. And then Calvin Campany is from Adornment Fine Jewelry in the South County Commons, and he's taken on the task of heading up our re-energizing the year-round Shop Local program, and that's the key. Most Shop Local programs are seasonal, and they're holiday season, and they're 8 weeks going in, and then they recharge for next year. Calvin is going to design a year-round Shop Local program, because we do have a seasonal, more than one season business. It is seasonal, but we have a summer season, and we have a college community, as well as our typical holiday season. That's really all I have to say. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to. But I think you've asked them all. Except.
We have more.
Joe, what events are you planning for the year besides the job fair? What other events can you think of offhand, and the usual events?
This is, Brian's committee is in the process of reevaluating. So in other words, Dancing with the Stars was a spring event. So we will still do a spring event. They're going to evaluate whether it will be Dancing with the Stars or something new, because
everybody loves that one.
You need to stay fresh. It's a great event.
It is a great event.
It is. It's great.
The golf ball drop is a summer event. Our golf tournament is typically in the spring, and then our annual dinner is usually October, November-ish. So 3 to 4 on top of where we'll splash in a job fair as they're needed. We did, I think, 1 or 2 in 2010 or 11. And then the whole business after hours and First Friday coffee and the lunch and learn. So there's 28, almost 30 opportunities for people to get together and network. I think we had almost 100 people the other night at the Muse.
I heard that was great.
It's a great event. Our First Friday coffee was all That Matters in January, and I think there were over 60 people.
Good.
Local business people trying to connect with each other to do more business.
And I think you're right on target with this year-round Shop Local, especially it gives year-round businesses an opportunity to get together and, put their heads together and see how to improve and how to get people in. And I think that's
Calvin's
important.
looking for volunteers. So.
Is he? I'll have to talk to him.
I actually attended the, and I don't usually get to those, but I actually attended the last business after hours, and I was quite impressed. There were, over 100 people. And I can't stress enough the conversations of people that approached me with caring and giving back to the community. And I'll just share a few stories. And I don't even know if I should be using people's names, but I'm going to, and somebody can slap my hand tomorrow.
I'll deny it.
Quick Tire, Cindy, she, approached me knowing my background with education and caring for kids in our community. She wanted to know what more could schools, preschools, I know she had a conversation with a school committee member, what can we do more for children with disabilities and make a connection with some of the services from Easter Seals. And she promised, you have to call me when you get, and I gave her some feedback with my background in education. And she's going to take that to another level. But if I hadn't have been there at that business after hours, there was Print Source, that Mary that joined in on the conversation, Roland Fiore from South County Sand and Gravel, who volunteers for working with Mr. Champion, our basketball coach. I mean, those are just a few stories of people that approached me at this business after hours. What more can we do as businesses here and people who live in this community can we do to give back and join hands together to make this community a better community? So it was very heartwarming. After everybody speaks, I do have a list of some of the organizations that belong to the Chamber of Commerce, and I'd like to state some of the things that they have done for our community. So I also just want to make the statement that at one point in time, you did have a Citizen of the Year award, and that was given to Deidre DeRocha, who is a pillar of our community. You had a Business of the Year to Belmont Market, who I believe at one time had offered plastic bags for our dog park. I don't know if that ever came to fruition. But the list, I mean, I could probably talk for hours about how some of your members, would like to give back to this community, have done so in the past. And the last one is Teacher of the Year to Chase Loomis. And I'm not sure if that's an award that you're considering, if you've given in the, in the past year or not, or going to give that. But those are just some things off the top of my head. I could go on. I do have a list here that I can talk further later.
Great.
So at this time, I will.
Thank you.
Any comments here at the table? I'm going to open the microphone for any further comments from interested citizens. If you'd like to come to the microphone.
Good evening. I'm Maureen Martin from 271, where do I live? Warden's Pond Road, here in South Kingstown. I'm here tonight to object to my tax dollars being given to the Chamber of Commerce through a tax exemption. While I agree and I appreciate your efforts to support the business community, trust me, nobody supports the local businesses around here as much as I do with my shopping habits. But I think that you're a little misguided in this effort. So I think that it would actually be a better idea for the South Kingstown Town Council to consider giving a tax relief to low or middle income homeowners before they cut a deal with the South Kingstown Chamber of Commerce, or I'm sorry, whatever they're called now. I searched on Wikipedia today for the chamber, and this is what I read. It says the United States Chamber of Commerce is an American lobbying group representing the interests of many businesses and trade associations. It's not an agency of the United States government. The chamber is staffed with policy specialists, lobbyists, and lawyers. The chamber is one of the largest lobbying groups in the United States, spending more money than any other lobbying organization on a yearly basis. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce owns, in their own history of itself described on their webpage, says it originated in 1912 and was created as a counterbalance to the labor movement of that time. The U.S. Chamber is different from the local and state Chamber of Commerce located in many cities, towns, and states, as we have here. The U.S. Chamber focuses on national issues on the federal level, and local and state chambers focus on local and state issues. So the Chamber has emerged as the largest lobbying organization in America. This is what I'm reading from Wikipedia. The Chamber's lobbying expenditures in 2009 were 5 times as high as the next highest spender, ExxonMobil, at $27.4 million. The Chamber has more than 150 lobbyists from 250 different firms working on its behalf in 2009, the last year that they cited. But you see, just as the U.S. Chamber is a national lobbying group on national issues, so goes the state and local chambers on state and local issues. And you need to look no further or remember back no further than a couple of months ago when we had the pension reform issue in the state of Rhode Island. The then called South Kingstown Chamber of Commerce signed on to the lobbying efforts of Engage Rhode Island. Now, no matter where you stand on the pension reform issue, you have to admit that Engage Rhode Island and its groups was the main lobbying force for pension reform. And the change, which shows the Chamber of Commerce is a lobbying group. In fact, if you go to the Rhode Island Chamber of Commerce website, you'll find a 2-page legislative agenda on issues that they lobbied for in 2009. If you go to the South Kingstown Chamber of Commerce website, you'll find a 2-page, if you go to the South Kingstown Chamber's website, where they state they're a proud member of the United States Chamber of Commerce, remembering which is the largest lobbying group in America, you'll see that the membership fees to belong to that lobbying group ranges from $750 to $3,500 a year. This is how they get their money to do their lobbying activities. I would suggest to you that if you're determined you need to spend money on business, you could set up a grant for the very smallest businesses in town, perhaps small businesses that are having a really hard time in this particularly difficult time for everybody, people who probably can't even afford the $750 to belong to the Chamber of Commerce, and give them a stipend to advertise or to reach out to the community to do some of the good works that you've heard that many of the businesses in town do. I think that at a time when the town is giving less and less to places that are real nonprofit charitable organizations, and you're cutting back on your grants to them, that is a very bad time and a bad message if you were to go forward with this tax abatement for the Chamber of Commerce. So let me finish by, oh no, let me not do that. Let me respectfully ask that the council just say no to this request. I appreciate your time, and I appreciate all that you do all of the time. I really understand how difficult a job you have many times.
Thank you. Further comments from the audience? Welcome.
Good morning. Good evening. Wow. My name is Deborah Bergner. I'm a resident of South Kingstown. And I just have a couple of points, and I, too, am against the giving of a tax abatement to the Southern Rhode Island Chamber of Commerce. I had a couple of questions, and I'm not sure who might answer them, but I just wanted to raise them. First of all, perhaps this year it is a revenue neutral request, but over time our taxes go up, a few percentage points every year, so that maybe this year it would be neutral, but over time this $6,900 waiver neutral piece will increase over time, and so we'll be ever expanding what we give them. Secondly, I listened to what some of the gentlemen said, and they were sharing who in other towns gave an abatement, and they said Westerly and Northern Rhode Island, but it was interesting to point out that 8 towns cost shared at $1,500. So I'm curious, now that their name change was approved, why we wouldn't go to the other towns that are under this umbrella of Southern Rhode Island. I really feel like that should be answered. So perhaps if there are whatever 5 or 6 towns under that umbrella, we can save ourselves money and be even out for less than we're giving them. And then finally, I feel like their request puts the town on a slippery slope. I feel like who else might come forward to request an abatement, and clearly Pandora's box may be opened. I'm sitting here thinking, if I were a 501(c) or 501(6) and renting, perhaps I might go to my landlord and say, hey, I'm going to get you an abatement. I just feel like we don't know what we're going to do with this, and I think that this is a bad idea, and I strongly support not granting this request.
Okay, do we, have any answers to Ms. Bergner's with the annual? Do you want me to address that, or does somebody want to address that? Steve, do you want me to? Could you address how it comes back every year for the pay in lieu of taxes, please?
Any type of pilot agreement which is established by the council would be subject to renewal on an annual basis. I believe the town currently has 4 pilot agreements in place. Each of those comes back to the council in June before the roll is certified in terms of the amount of property that would come off. In terms of the second question on whether taxes are going to go up, death and taxes seem to always go up. So I think the taxes will continue to increase. Certainly each time somebody does a revaluation, which is every 3 years, we're reassessing the value of property. There may be declines or there may be increases. The $7,000 that's provided in contribution at this point is an annual decision on the council's part. There would be nothing that would prevent that from being decreased or increased based on the will of the council and the approval of that budget.
So just to surmise, that it's not automatically a given, Ms. Bergner, that it will automatically be granted. The pay in lieu of taxes, this town council looks at every single year. It's a yearly thing that comes up at this table. Sure.
I also feel that this issue has not been clearly explained to the taxpayers, the resident taxpayers, so I feel like many people would say, no, I don't want to cover their little bit of the share in my taxes. My taxes go up every year. I was just out on Saturday night and someone specifically said, no, I don't agree. Every year I keep paying more. I can barely afford any more, and yet they're going to ask for a waiver, an abatement, or I think you need to consider the entire community and not just the business people who are lobbying for this. While they may do very good work, and no one is disputing their efforts, I think we need to be clear about what we're opening up to other people coming forward and saying, I would like this. I mean, I'm sure you can look at the potential of other 503Cs coming forward and know what your exposure is. And I think you need to consider that, and then consider the people that live in our town who aren't willing to cover that.
Could you please come to the microphone?
I would just want to remind the council, and I'm sure they're aware, and the people in the audience, that the $50,000+ the town receives every year from the hotel tax was designated for tourism. And I don't know that the town currently is investing any of that money in tourism, so certainly helping and again, we're not looking for a handout, we're looking for help to help the community. And I don't apologize for us being an advocate for business. The stronger business are in this town, in the state, in the country, the more people have jobs, the less people are going to have to pay for tax in the long run. So I don't make any apologies for that, and we're not taking money away from any taxpayer, because that money from the hotel tax has already been designated to be used for tourism.
Carol and then Kathy.
Dick, if, I know the name change is just recent,
Right.
but if you do merge with other towns, would there be a cost share situation in that scenario?
Well,
I mean, I'm not saying you are,
Yeah,
but I'm
no,
saying if sometime down the line.
Yeah, we have, over the years, attempted to join forces with the Narragansett Chamber and thought we would be stronger as one chamber. To date, that has not been successful. That doesn't mean it might not happen in the future. And it'd certainly be, economies of scale there.
Right.
But
So would you consider the cost share with, if it happened?
Sure. Yeah,
it would be-
we're always looking to share costs.
Kathy.
I think Mr. Alford's reading my mind.
I just want to correct
Okay.
your statement.
I knew if I was wrong, you'd straighten me out, so.
Only, there is a 6% hotel tax.
Okay.
33 and a third percent, or 2% of that 6%, comes to the town. The remaining money goes to regional tourism, and that's where that money is expended through the regional tourism function. The money that comes to the town is not designated for tourism purpose only. It's a general revenue, just as the meals tax is.
So you're saying the town gets no money for promotion of tourism?
No, the tax.
That's not my understanding, but I'll defer to you, but I'm sure you have the language in front of you.
Yes.
Okay. All right, questions?
Kathy?
I have to say that we have been over this before. I know, Mr. Pike, you've been here, and I've asked this same question of Mr. Alfred in the past. I just want to do a review, what I did for the council earlier regarding the chamber. For the history, for the two council members who weren't here in 2007 when the building was built, that you and Miss Darlene Evans came forward. You didn't say anything, you sat in the chair, but Darlene came forward and with hat in hand pretty much said to us that she didn't realize that when they built the building that their taxes were, the chamber's taxes were going to go up. So when Mr. Iacocca says that he hasn't formally, they have never come and asked for a tax increase, maybe not formally written, but verbally you were looking for some tax relief at that point. And the council that was sitting at that time said, and I remember saying to her, when I had my lot of my house,
Right.
I realized that when I built my house, my taxes were going to go up. I remember this clear as a bell.
Okay,
So, no, let me continue, please,
Go ahead.
if you don't mind. I'm on a roll. Then you came back another time afterwards, looking for the same, you know, that you had an issue with this. What ended up happening at that point was that there was $7,000 that was given to the chamber. And from my recollection, $4,000 went into the chamber, and $3,000 went for supplying the
Holiday decorations.
The holiday decorations, and you were looking for, to absorb that for your costs, and the council was, instead of giving a tax exemption, was like, okay, but I remember even asking, you are still going to make sure that those holiday decorations get put up and, you know, look decent. I don't think that we put a strand of lights on a wreath in that time period, but all the money went to the chamber. So this town council, I think, has been very fair to the chamber. So then, just let me review my notes. We had a communication, Mr. Iacocca was right, it was in December of '09, it was December 11th, dated December 11th from Mr. Iacocca. But in this particular time, he asked for $12,000. I'll read it from the agenda item, which was on the agendas of January 11, 2010. Communication A, dated December 11, 2009, from Joseph Iacocca, Executive Director, South Kingstown Chamber, requesting a funding contribution of $12,000 for the 2010-2011 and a property tax exemption for their Welcome House Information Center for Old Tower Hill Road, received and placed on file, and the town council further directs. At that point, I believe we placed on file and we talked about, you know, how it would have to go about the process of doing it. But we went from requesting a funding contribution of $12,000 and property tax exemption. So I'm a little skeptical. It was a big jump, a big leap here from what happened. Let me continue on here to my notes. So why is the chamber now? Financially, I don't believe that we should be doing this, because as I stated, and we have some data from the past months of other 501c3s, 501c36s that could possibly come forward. So you think $7,000 is a swap for your tax abatement, but as one of the residents has pointed out, that taxes do go up, and it probably will. And they can say it's on a yearly basis, but yearly you'll come forward, and probably if it goes through, it'll probably continue to go through, and it will be over $7,000. So, you also in 2008 now, we had 4 council members who were here. Somebody came forward at that particular meeting and asked for $2,000 more to extend the hours for the tourist center. I remember Steve saying at that point we were not able to provide it with the current budget issues, and this was back in 2008, March 6, 2008. So we didn't increase it then. So I want to talk about we've already cleared the air about the hotel and the meal taxes. I want to point out that the town of South Kingstown is very business-friendly. I don't want to look like we're not business-friendly. I think the businesses do a great job. I think that they donate to different businesses and are very good about it. But we have kept a residential tax rate in place for the businesses in this town, where if you go to other communities, that's not the case, even going over to Narragansett. So I think that we try to keep the businesses in town at the residential rate, and I think we do a damn good job in the town of South Kingstown. So I just want to make that point perfectly clear, that kind of gets lost in the shuffle here. I've been doing this for 10 years. I've watched the progress of everything go on. So now the question has been brought up, now that you've changed yourself to the Southern Rhode Island, maybe this isn't the year to ask for us to do this. Maybe you should do your legwork. You just got the approval from the judicial rendering last week that you are now the Southern Rhode Island Chamber. Why don't you go forth, ask the other communities that you help, or the other businesses, for that $1,500 like the Northern Rhode Island. And then it's not as big of a tax hit on the town. You actually be helping the taxpayers of the town. I think if you think it through, it might be a good thing to do. So that's what I wanted to add in here from my points of reference. There's a few other things here, but I've taken up enough time, but I want to be clear of what has happened in the history of the chamber.
Okay, let me go back to when Darlene was here, and it wasn't that we received a tax increase. What had happened is we bought the land for about $15,000. We built the building for about $300,000. We got a tax assessment from the town at that time that was over $700,000. That's what we were questioning, and we even went to the tax assessor's office and asked for some relief, and we weren't successful at that time in getting it. That's the reason that we had come, we didn't expect that we would be valued at over $700,000 when we had less than $400,000 invested, be that as it may. Anyway, we come back and we've asked for money from time to time because we need help to help the businesses in town. The town, and you can say, and I understand your concerns about other 501c3s or 501c6ers coming to you and saying, you know, we want what the chamber received. However, the chamber is probably the only one that's revenue producing. We help business, which in turn, you get over $500,000 in that 1% meal tax. Virtually every one of those restaurants belong to the chamber. They're a chamber member. They get benefit from belonging to the chamber, like I said, through referrals, through training, through networking, through our advertisement, through the people who call the chamber all the time and say, where can I stay in town? Where can I eat in town? We help those businesses survive and prosper. And because we do that, they're able to pay more and more tax to the town. In the future, we want to help more business. I hate it when a business goes out of town. And they go out of business. I go through town, I see an empty storefront of someone that was there. I know almost that they probably lost their life savings, the person who owned it. They probably mortgaged their house. There are several people who work there who have lost their jobs. And to me, I wish that I could have been there to help them prosper. That's what the chamber does.
I'm not arguing with that point
Okay,
either.
but we're
Nobody
asking you
wants
to
see
help
a
us do that.
But we are, if you look at what the town does for you as not having a
I'm
split
not-
tax rate. And that, a split tax rate could be more on the businesses, and we don't do that. If you go to Narragansett, you're going to pay more than the residential tax rate. So this is what we try to do. And I think that's gotten lost in the conversation.
But I
And-
understand your point, but I understand also that the town of Narragansett, the chamber there receives $15,000 from the town, and I'm not sure the exact number, but it's substantially more than we receive. So, you know, it's not, I don't want to, you know.
It could open up a Pandora's box, as somebody has stated it with some of the other ones. And then that could be a significant amount of money that comes and falls on the taxpayers of the town. So if I don't disagree with any of what the businesses do, I frequent the businesses in this town, but I have to look at the bigger picture here. And I think this whole council has to look at the bigger picture because we've had a history of not doing this. And you're put on our agenda as other business things versus the human health and human services part of the budget where we give that money. I can understand Thunder Miss being tax exempt, the social services, the Women's Resource Recovery, not Resource Recovery, the Women's Resource Center, places like that that affect the business, the community in a social way. But businesses, by the nature, you take that risk to go into the businesses, and we're trying to help you on our end too, by not having a split tax rate and increasing the taxes. So again, it can open up another issue, and we have to, in this tough economy, we have to protect the taxpayers, and that's what this council has to think about.
I respect your opinion.
And I
Thank you.
respect yours too, Dick, I do.
Any other?
Do we have any further questions here for Dick that, have not been answered? I just want to.
I guess I do have one.
Carol has one.
Dick, you know the Christmas banners that you have, those are put out by the chamber, are they
The
not?
holiday banners, that's correct.
Joe's raising his hand
Yeah.
back there.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about those banners?
I would have to defer to Joe on that.
Which I think you've had for how long, Joe?
Okay, a couple things if I can take the time, just follow up for everybody. The Holiday Banner Program was instituted 2 years ago, working with Andy and Steve and staff. We saw a need to upgrade the holiday decoration program. That in 2007, this town gave the community, from the community tax base, the $4,000 split and the $3,000 split that Ms. Fogarty referred to. We saw a need to upgrade that, and I think there's 35 wreaths, in the neighborhood of 35 wreaths, and that's where the $5,000 increase was put in to implement a new program, if we could, working with the town, working with the Downtown Merchant Association. That was not going forward, so that's when we pulled back and we asked for the $7,000 again. In 2010, I instituted a 3-year holiday banner program just in the commercial business district of Wakefield. And that's from Route 108 to Old Mountain Lane, and from CVS up to 230 Old Tower Hill Road. There's a total of 20 holiday banners supported by the business community at $275 a banner for a 3-year program. And that's well received, and it's a great addition to your holiday festivities and your decorations. The banners this year went up again. The holiday wreaths were finally taken over by the town through Andy's support and the town's support. I think it was the community, the gentleman that put them up for us, Andy.
Communications Department.
Communications Department. And they altered them. They only put up 20 wreaths instead of the normal ones because of the deterioration of those wreaths. And that's where we are with the holiday program. I think your March of 2010 council meeting waived the allocation and the split. I remember, I wish I had the minutes with me. I know I have it back at the office. Your council went on record supporting the whole allocation, and Mr. Alford, correct me if I'm wrong. The whole allocation, instead of the split of 4 and 3, the whole allocation of $7,000, and that was in your March of 2010 meeting. Thank you, Mr. Alford. The tax assessment, just to give you an idea, being a former tax assessor in the community of Westerly back in the 70s, when I came to the job here at 230 Old Tower Hill Road, and I know Gene from years and his great reputation, I noticed on our property record card they were taxing us for 3 years for a full basement at our building. We don't have a full basement. We don't have a basement. It was built on a slab with plenty of easements underneath. Gene and his staff came up, looked at the building plans, didn't see a basement, and readjusted our assessment just for that 1 year going forward. That assessment came down from $616,000 down to $451,000. So we were overtaxed for 2 years. But we didn't say nothing. We didn't go back. State law, general laws, Chapter 44, which I kind of am familiar with, we could have went back and gone back to the 3 years, but we didn't. We just said, Gene, thank you for adjusting the December 31st, 2009 assessment, which was our June bill in 2010. So that just gives you a little background on the tax assessment that you brought up. If I could just relate back to our membership fees, we belong to the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. We belong to the Northeast Chamber Assessors, Northeast Chamber Executive Association. Okay, we pay dues. We belong to the Rhode Island Coalition, which is an active community of chambers, of 10 chambers in the state of Rhode Island. Out of the 16 belong to the coalition. We belong to those organizations, and we're proud of it. Our membership levels, which was misquoted, if I can give you an idea what they are. Our regular member pays $225 to be a regular member of the Southern Rhode Island Chamber of Commerce. We have a $100 reciprocal membership with the town of Narragansett that started on March 27th, 2010. We have a universal membership, which our board of directors took the initiative and did a lot of visionary foresight on this. And if you belong to a chamber in any part of Rhode Island, Connecticut, New England, Arizona, anywhere, and you belong to a chamber and open up shop or a business in our community, you could be a universal member at a savings of $100. So that'd be $125 for that level of participation. The numbers that were quoted by Ms. Martin, that I never met before, but it's nice to meet you here this evening. The $750 is a bundled membership that a member could support, and we have 3 of those in our chamber. Dunkin' Donuts, Bank of Newport, and, Jesus, one other one. We have 3 that I know of, that I know we have. And we also have one level of a $2,500 membership, and that's People's Credit Union out of Middletown. But we bundle their requests, so they don't have to come to us, and we don't have to go to them and nickel and dime them for a $1,500 ad or a $150 insert in our newsletter. They get so much of advertising and marketing and membership, and we bundle it, and they belong to all our events. They come to our events for free, not for free, but under that umbrella of a membership. So there's no $3,500 member. There's one $2,500 member, and that just occurred on November 1st, 2011. And we have 3 $750 partners. And we're working on more of those. Those are the things that we want to work on to bundle the membership product to those respective businesses. Is there anything further?
Further questions here at the table?
I have a couple more questions. I don't know if it's okay if I come back.
As long as there's nobody else. Does anyone else care to speak for the first time?
Okay, I have 3 questions. One is, will this matter be definitively decided tonight? My second question is...
I'm sorry.
Someone wants to speak? Okay. Will this be decided tonight? And may I ask if any of you are members of the Chamber of Commerce? And then my question for Steve and Mike might be, will those members of the Chamber, if there are any, be able to vote on this matter or not? So 3 questions.
Can I answer?
Yeah, I would like Michael to answer first.
Yeah, on the issue of the voting, I think you're referring to the fact that certain council members are members of the chamber, and by virtue of the fact that they're merely members does not disqualify them from voting. If they were on the board of directors and they're actually running the chamber, then that would be different. But the Attorney General has ruled that membership alone in an organization does not disqualify you. You have to be in a position of actually directing the organization.
Okay.
So, to my knowledge, everyone would be able to vote because I don't think any of the members of the council are on the executive committee of the chamber.
May I still ask that question so the public community may have full disclosure on the membership in the council?
We will have that addressed here at the table. Carol?
Okay.
I have no problem with admitting that, yes, I am a member of the Chamber of Commerce. I am a small business owner. I benefit from this organization. I've met many people and other businesses to share ideas, to exchange cards, clients. And, you know, if you are a small business owner, you would know it's very difficult in this, during this economic time. And I also want to address the issue of lobbyists that was brought up by Ms. Martin. I believe you belong to an organization and work for an organization that has lobbyists also, is that correct? And I think many organizations, well, I'm just putting it out there, but many organizations have lobbyists who need to stay informed.
Did you have a question for me?
I do. Do you belong, are you working for an organization that has any kind of lobbying, that does any kind of lobbying?
Yes, I'm a registered lobbyist myself. No, I don't understand.
That was the
I don't
question.
understand
And
how
who do
this
you work for?
pertains to this, though.
Well, I mean, you were addressing the chamber as having a problem because they lobby for certain benefits for small businesses and stay informed. But you yourself are also, you are a lobbyist, and I just wonder why you would have a problem with that.
I think there's nothing wrong with lobbying per se. It's what makes the world go round.
I would say so.
But I think that it has been portrayed here that this is some sort of benefit to the world organization, as opposed to what a Chamber of Commerce is actually primarily a lobbyist organization. The business part of what they do is how they raise their money. Do they do some good work? While they're doing that, that's true, they do, and their lobbying is directly related to the business community. There's no doubt about it. But I'm sorry that you didn't understand the connection.
No, I didn't.
And I don't see what it has to do with my own situation.
Well, I just wanted to mention that, you know, you also, many organizations have lobbyists, and it's proven to be a good thing. It's not necessarily a bad thing.
Right, but we're
As
not
you know.
here asking for any kind of a tax abatement or anything. Although we could be, I believe that labor unions are 503c7s, probably. 5 or 7, I believe. So they could, I guess, for instance, NEA could come forth and say, look, we do all kinds of great things for this, outside of our job, for the community. And, you know, they run the Children's Fund, or they do, I bet you, if you talk to them, they run lots of things that benefit the children and the community at large. And so they would then maybe be able to get some sort of tax exemption. I don't think they own a building here, but, or there's other organizations that could step forward. I think the other...
We're not talking about property tax here. That's what we're talking about.
Right. But it opens the door. We could talk about any kind of tax, I guess.
Jim, can I just have Jim have disclosure with being a member of the chamber?
While I'm here, could I clarify one more thing? Just that the information I received, I'm sorry if I give misinformation, but it was right off of the website, and it does cite these 4 different categories, and then the membership application gives those 4 from $750 to $3,500, but I don't know that it's all that pertinent to the conversation.
I don't think so. Thank you. Jim?
As for membership of the chamber, I've been a proud member for, I think it's now 15 years of the South Kingstown Chamber. I'm not a member of the board or in a position of management or decision-making, and I appreciate the work they do. And as Carol said, lobbying, unfortunately, makes the world go round. Recent full-page advertisement in the Providence paper mentioned up at the General Assembly there are 597 lobbying groups, organizations, individuals. It's incredible. And I'm just trying to go back with the court decisions over the years, and not to pick on the NEA, the National Education Association, obviously one of the largest membership lobbying groups in the state of Rhode Island. Their members pay in serious dues money, and the courts have ruled that even though we have members of school committees and town councils that might be members of NEA or the other teacher affiliation, they cannot individually offset tens of thousands of other votes, and the courts have allowed them to move forward as long as they don't directly benefit from it. So the courts have been very liberal with that. And the same thing here, this council can easily rule on a decision like this. we are up here to make decisions, and we understand the world of politics. It's dirty and ugly. A lot of time it's clean, and a lot of time it's good. And so I really always fall on the character of the people I work with up here, and I think they would always make a fair and right decision. And if they had to recuse themselves, they would. And in the case of this particular decision that'll be coming up on the chamber exemption, I don't think anyone up here needs to recuse themselves. So I'm frankly embarrassed for you, any of you that have charged that being a member of the chamber should be any reason for us to recuse ourselves. As a matter of fact, a recent article in the paper editorial, if we got to that level from school committees, councils, issues like this on the chamber, we wouldn't have enough people for a quorum on any committee or commission in the state of Rhode Island. So what foolish, stupid, dumb arguments.
All right, let's just keep
You like that, Kathy? Your team really did a great job tonight.
Excuse me.
You and
My
Ms.
team
Martin
was-
and
These
Ms.
are members of the
Ms.
public,
Bergner.
Mr. O'Neill.
Excuse me,
So professional.
both of you. Polly.
I have been quiet, but I know I've spoken to several of the people on the chamber whom I respect, and I think they do great things. I have no question about that. I, too, was on the council when, in 2007, when you built that lovely new building, and when you came and asked us for help with your taxes. My reason really has not changed. I do not consider the chamber a charity. And the organizations that we abate taxes for are groups that do work for, they do specific works to help people. You know, it's like the Welcome House, Camp Jory, the Land Trust is another, and South County Hospital. Those are the ones we have pilot programs with. And I cannot see adding, in this economic time, adding a different category, which I consider the chamber to be. I think the chamber is a 501c6. It deals with businesses, it deals with business problems, it deals with promoting business. The 501c3 is for charities, and I think that's what we really need to put our money for, particularly now in this time of tremendous cutbacks. You were here for the budget. There was nothing that was increased. Everything was, well, there were a few things that were increased, but most of the things in the capital improvement plan were things that were decreased from last year's budget. Thank you, Ella.
While Polly has mentioned Camp Jory, Steve, could you just give us some examples of what Camp Jory does for charitable donations to the town?
Camp Jury owns the property at Warden's Pond. There's really two purposes that are served up there. The first is that they, Camp Jury is the summer camp program run through the Jewish organization. It also leases out property that's used as a school for the, that operates really during the entire school year. So there's two different purposes on that property. That property was also devoid of any development rights other than the buildings that are there at the time that that property was acquired through Camp Jury.
So I guess what I'm getting to, Paul, and I'm just trying to get a dialogue back and forth here. I know that the Middlebridge School is used there and it's very successful. I've visited the school, and there is, you know, extraordinary fees charged for the school. So I didn't see that as really charitable.
Oh,
You
I
know,
think of education as being
right, but
being a charitable. And I didn't list all the, you know,
Right.
Thunder Mist is another one that gets
right.
taxes abased. I didn't list all the organizations that I think are extremely worthwhile. And Johnny Cake Center, those are things that do services for our citizens that are so desperately needed, particularly in this economic time.
And I also look at what the connection has been with the Chamber, with promoting their activities such as Dancing with the Stars and supporting Domestic Violence Resource Center. So I'm hoping that, so I do look at that as a piece of, giving back to some of the charity organizations. And I would hope that if this, does get passed tonight, that there is a connection, more of a link with giving back to the community with some charity things. So I look at this as an opportunity to try to move forward to increase that opportunity for our community. Okay, it's just my 2 cents worth. Carol?
Steve, you could probably answer this. What is the current assessment for the building at the Chamber building?
Real estate is the $451,500.
Now, I'm just going to throw out a suggestion here. If we could cap the exemption at $7,000, which seems to have been what we've been giving them for the past 3 years since I've been here, and if and when the time comes that building is worth $700,000 again, hopefully we'll all be rich, and you'll be able to afford the difference. I'm just throwing it out as a possible suggestion to make it truly revenue neutral. And seeing as right now it would be $6,723, but if it were to rise, is what I'm suggesting, that we cap it at $7,000, the exemption. And I'm just wondering how the rest of you might feel about that.
Polly?
My concern with that, Carol, would be that we were putting in a new category, and I think this is a difficult time to add in anything. Where would the money come from?
Well, it would, we've been talking about we give the $7,000 out of the general fund, and now they wouldn't be paying us taxes, so it kind of is a wash. I mean,
$200 savings.
There's no two ways to look about it.
You still opened it up to a different category that can now come and expect. Well, why wouldn't you give to the outside?
Well, I think one of the things I'm trying to say is we already do give them money, so they are a special exception because we give them that much, and we probably would give it again if we wouldn't do this. So if we were to cap it so that, as I said, if and when it's worth a lot more money, they would make the difference.
It started out, though, as they were doing our Christmas decorations. That was the money.
But we changed that in 2010. I believe that was the March of 2010. We stopped doing the allocation, the split of the allocation for Christmas and whatever else they use. So, I mean, we've already made that decision.
Kathy, it's Kathy.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to comment, Kath, on one thing here. I think that with what Carol is stating with putting that cap on, it's something that's looked at, every year anyways, Carol, so I'm not sure that, the cap is the...
Well, I just want to explain it for their purposes, for the Chamber's purposes, if it's just an option. I mean...
Yeah. And I didn't forget your name, Kath.
Can I go? Is it
Yes.
following on me? You're missing the point. The point is that it opens up the other charitable organizations, and that's what Polly is trying to say, I believe, and I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, Polly, that other organizations could come forward, and then you have opened up the Pandora's box. You're missing that point.
No, I'm not
The
missing that
Southern
point,
Rhode
Kathy.
Island-
I am not
excuse
missing
me,
that point.
I have the floor, Mrs. McEntee. The other point was that I brought up, I thought a good option, that we wait, and they go forward and look at that. Now that they're the Southern Rhode Island, they go to the other communities, just like the Northern Rhode Island does. Just because they're located in South Kingstown, they have stated in all their court testimony that they work for all the other communities. Let them go forth and see if they can generate some more money that way. That, I think, is the fairest thing. They're not working for the town of South Kingstown only, that by their own admission. So go forward, and that would be the best option for this town. So I just throw that out there. So I think people trying to jump down Polly's throat, and I think Polly has the point is that the other communities, the other 501c3s, 6s that haven't come forward are going to look at this as the opening to come forward and have tax abatement, and it's going to fall totally on the taxpayers of the town, and the people who support this are the ones who have to answer to it.
I would just like to respond.
Person out in the audience who wanted to speak.
Yes, I think
Yeah,
so.
I'm going to respond to this first, Polly, before I go back out into the audience, because the conversation's here at the table. If this does open, as we're quoting as saying, a Pandora's box, I mean, if there are people, you know, or agencies here that would apply for this in the future and are able to give back tenfold of what we give them, and I think that is a future realistic where we can head. The deadline for filing for this tax exemption, I believe, is December 15th. So there's nobody that's going to be coming forward this year. It will be in the next year's budget cycle. And if, you know, somebody comes forward, the Elks and their $10,511.26, and they say to us, you know, we can give you that twice the fold back for that, I would absolutely welcome something like that, Kath. So it's an opportunity where I would welcome something like that, and I would engage in a dialogue. But right now, the deadline has been December 15th. There are nobody that can apply for this budget cycle. This chamber did apply for this, I believe it was the last budget cycle, and this has been part of on-off this town council table for over a year. So I'm hoping that we do come to some resolution tonight.
So let me can I get that clear? So you're not worried about this year, and you'll just worry about it down the road in the next budget cycle? So the next budget that we do, the 2013-14, then that's when you'll worry about it? And you welcome it, okay.
If
Just wanna
more
get that on the
people
record.
come and apply for this tax exemption, you know, and I used the Elks as an example, with $10,000, and they do a lot of good work, and they can come forward with more than $10,000 to give to agencies in our town. I see that as a possibility. I'm sorry, do we have someone else in the audience that would like to speak?
Good evening. My name is Christine Hyde. I am very proud to be the president of the South Kingstown Teachers Association. We care very much about the taxpayers and the community of South Kingstown. We have, in the past 4 years, as a local NEA affiliate, engaged in a program called Have a Heart, where we work from the Hazard preschool staff through the high school in raising funds as our own private local fundraising group. And we began that 4 years ago because that's when local agencies, the Welcome House, we benefit the Johnny Cake Center, we benefit the Women's Resource Center. And we do that because their own funding from this town and from other options have been diminished over that time. Mr. O'Neill, you mentioned, and we are certainly very proud to be members of NEA Rhode Island. We engage in fundraising statewide, all of our members. I'm sure, Mrs. Whaley, you donated yourself to the NEA Children's Fund. I received notification today that in the last 9 years, the NEA Children's Fund donated over $92,000 to families in need, students in need in the South Kingstown schools. I think that it is a very slippery slope to make exceptions for a Chamber of Commerce when you can't make exceptions for those families that have needed almost $100,000 in extra support because of their difficult level of need in this community. I am strongly opposed, and I strongly suspect that my 350 members would be opposed. I noticed a number of things in the capital budget that were in the neighborhood of $5,000 or $6,700. It would seem to me that money that doesn't come in can't go out, not to the taxpayers and not to the other town services that we need to provide. So please consider our comments and our concerns. Thank you.
Thank you. Comments here at the table? Jim?
Yeah, you know, for years here with our charities, this town council in the town, I think, has been very generous to all of these agencies. Matter of fact, I think I'm on record specifically with Johnny Cake Center that we have not given enough. And I had to bite my tongue and go with the council and the manager's decision on the monies. We measure our investments in those agencies. Steve has done this constantly, an excellent job, which we have many graphs on, of just how many residents of South Kingstown use such agencies. Sometimes a small percentage, sometimes a majority of percentage. And frankly, a lot of that money that we've put in there has represented that same percentage of their budgets, very close to it over the years. I take a look at the chamber here, and yes, they're not a charity, and nor have they said they're a charity. And this is like this town and many other towns give money to outside agencies. This town probably, through our chamber, the percentage is probably huge, probably 80, 90, 100% of help from these businesses to help our community. There isn't one of them that doesn't support the Little League teams, you name it. You walk out of Belmont Stop and Shop, my God, you're giving money to Brownies, this, that, American Rescue League. What a wonderful business community. And, you know, this has to be considered investment. I know politics always gets involved. I don't mind investing in our, you know, again, these human service agencies that need so much, and I don't mind investing in business growth, because business growth is jobs, people that can pay taxes, very important. We need more taxpayers, not higher taxes on folks here. And, you know, I mean, you want to talk about issues here, pick up the newspaper, take a look at Brown University and the colleges in Providence and the desperate needs Providence has, how they're trying to figure out how to tax more outside of fire departments, which we do down here with URI. But what do we have, $1 billion+ investment at the University of Rhode Island? They certainly put in their fair share for the fire department up there, Kingston Fire Department. But we've educated annually from 10 to 40 kids free of charge because of that investment of those people that work up there, that shop in our town. Many live in our town. And that's the kind of investment you make. This is what the future is all about. And jobs and business are our future. Without jobs and business, we don't have taxes to support anything. I think the Chamber's made a tremendous case tonight. And I think even those who are here tonight to warn us of the slippery slope, I'm going to say that I think Carol McEntee has put forward a terrific recommendation tonight, maybe a double recommendation. One, that we cap this at $7,000. Ella has echoed that this is a 1 year. Everything is reviewed in 1 year. And that we maybe double-side this, take a look. Carol asked the question of what the current assessment is. I think Steve said $451,000. That maybe that be on the table too. We're having a full revaluation at the end of this year. And in 1 year's time, we can look at that combination. But I think that's an excellent idea to go with $7,000 and with the current assessment on that property. If the assessment does rise after a full revaluation this year, we've got to look at it. But the $7,000 is simply, it is a wash. And yes, some of these other agencies, and that's why I asked all the questions tonight of the Chamber, they have raised their own money with capital campaigns. And I remember asking Steve a few years ago, where in the world did South County Community Action get the $1 million plus to buy that building up on Kingstown Road? Well, they got a lot of help from a subsidy from, who was it? Help me out, the housing, whatever the housing authority is, the state of Rhode Island. So we have to be very careful here. The Chamber's done this all on their own. These other agencies have gotten tremendous subsidies for mortgages and money to buy their properties. Chamber did it all privately. Major difference. So I think the Chamber's made a very strong case tonight, and I would certainly agree with the 7,000 cap, along with the cap of the current assessment. Thank you.
Kathy?
Again, I bring up the fact that they pointed out themselves, Mr. Iacocca, that the Northern Rhode Island Chamber has gotten donations of $1,500 from 8 of the communities. I don't know if I didn't say that loud enough, but there is another option out here that is what they look into. Again, they've just gone through a big lawsuit with the other chambers stating how much work they do for other communities. And again, I would think, as you champion the taxpayers in the town over and over again, that would be the option that they take and try to get money from other communities that they represent from their own words, and that be the option that is taken. Stay with this, give them the chance to go out there now that they've got their new title. I think I clearly stated that before. I guess it's falling on deaf ears, so I'm stating it again.
If I may, just to bring up Northern Rhode Island, I don't know what the numbers are up there, but I think if you took a look at the investment the federal government, others have made in the highways up there, take a look at CVS, take a look at Fidelity. They happen to be an incredible corridor up there with incredible business. We are small business down here, absolutely small business. We need their help, they need our help, and I think that's a major difference. All right, that's all I have to say. That's it.
I think he said he got it from the communities, not the businesses, not the CVSs.
Kathy,
The communities is what he said. That's what I'm reiterating what he said, to go to
Kathy,
the
I'm
communities.
not arguing about the
businesses, I
$1,500.
said
I
communities.
don't know what the contributions are. That's not what I'm looking at. What I'm telling
what
you
they
is,
told us.
they have major businesses up there, which we are unable to capture down here in South Kingstown and Narragansett. That's the difference.
I'm just, did you have something to say, Carol, before I just have a few things to say.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. In looking through this business community guide that the chamber puts out, I do want to explain my thoughts on why I think that it does give back to the community. I think we all know that it's been stated tonight that the chamber does support businesses and creates opportunity for growth. And I look at the chamber as, if you didn't have the businesses who are members of this chamber, then you would have no chamber. So I look at the chamber as the businesses in our community. And I'm going to continue with my list. Paul Massey is a member, and they have donated bikes to the town for our police department. We have a member which is the YMCA, which is also working with our town on a significant grant to make our town more walkable. It's called Healthy Designs. It has been very successful and opened new doors for improving the betterment of our town. We have Wakefield Books, who is a member, who takes care of the summer reading list for our schools. We have the Adeline LaPlante Memorial Center, who obviously does lots of good charitable organizations. They also have Joe Patrick, who walked to Ground Zero, working for them and gave him the time off. I've already stated the Domestic Violence Resource Center, Independent Square Foundation, with all that is done for people with disabilities at Independent Square Foundation. A member of this chamber is the Rotary Club of Wakefield. We have the South Kingstown Community Partnership for Prevention, which Kathy and I are a member of, that gives back to the community for helping with substance abuse problems. We have South County Community Action, Jim has mentioned that, with summer jobs for the children. South County Habitat for Humanity, we have a house possibly going up, being worked on in North Road for a family in South Kingstown. We have South Kingstown Cares. They run the spelling bee every year, and I can't begin to tell you the amount of donations from businesses at that South Kingstown Cares spelling bee for raffle tickets to give back to the school department. The Welcome House, we have, again, I've already mentioned South County Sand and Gravel. We have the South Kingstown School Department that is a member of our chamber. The Education Exchange, which gives back to this community for children that have dropped out of school and they're going to continue their education. URI, the Ryan Center, Theater by the Sea, Sosnowski Farm, Thunder Mist, Smith Co. Oil. The list goes on and on and on. I know that Melissa Smith from Smith Co. Oil gives of her time for the Patch.com and helps write an article every week for the citizens in this town. I'm also a member of that Parents Council. Moffett Painting, is a member of the chamber. If you were involved in what they do for a family in town with redoing, their house, I attended that off one of the roads over by Broad Rock Middle School. It was just very, very moving. The list goes on and on and on. I also attended the junior prom, post-prom activity all night at the YMCA, where Peer Pizza donated pizza for all of the juniors that attended that. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Easter Seals with the Muse. I could speak forever, but this is a one-year commitment. I think that a lot of the charitable organizations are members of our chamber, and without the chamber, we have no businesses. So therefore, I am going to support this for 1 year. I'm looking at, to me, it is a washout. It actually is, I look at it as a $200 savings plus for the town. So I am going to support this, and if there's further discussion, we'll entertain. Carol?
I'm just going to be brief. I mean, economic growth and development is a crucial component to any community, and ours right now is in dire need of any advancement we can give to any of our businesses. A healthy business people is healthy residents, healthy town, healthy children, healthy schools. It goes down the line. I am, at this point, I would like to make a motion that we approve communication A, and that we we make this revenue neutral so that we cap the tax exemption at $7,000, and that's my motion.
Do we need...
And we also, I believe part of this was that we require a $1 donation from the chamber in order to go forward with.
Why don't you do this? Why don't you direct staff to enter into, to prepare for the council a pilot agreement between the town and the chambers, so that we're similar with the way we treat other organizations that we deal with, and that that pilot agreement should recognize that there is going to be a cap of $7,000, that the amount of the exemption will be no greater than $7,000. And you may want to add what Jim mentioned, which is based upon the current assessment.
Right.
That way, you've got those parameters, and then going forward, when you look at this, if you want to look at this next year, you can look at what the parameters were this year. You can either keep them the same, change them, whatever. So
Okay.
Again, I think the motion would be to direct staff to enter into negotiations for a pilot agreement with those two parameters, the $7,000 limit, and based on the current assessment.
Well, with that, I'll make that motion to direct staff to enter into a pilot program with the Chamber of Commerce with a cap of $7,000 tax exemption and based on the current exemption.
And Steve's suggesting that you add to it that you give him the authority to sign that agreement also, since you've set the parameters out.
And I add that to this motion.
A second.
We have a motion, a second. Further discussion? Kathy?
I don't know, did Jim say that he's a member or not? Yes, he did. And I just wanted to be stated, because this is public information anyway, but, I tried to put the history together of how we come forward and ask for the tax abatement, maybe not written or verbally over a period of time, and how the council, over the period of time, has not granted it. And I think to myself, what's the difference? Why this year, and why is this going through? The only thing that I can toss it up to, and somebody said, and I wasn't going to bring it up, but politics can be ugly, is that there was a PAC that was formed by the chamber, which they gave every opportunity for them to mention that, but they didn't do that. Not that there's anything wrong with doing a PAC, they're well within their right of doing the PAC, but they endorsed, I just want it because members are here, so it's public record, it was in the paper, I'm not doing anything that wasn't out, that it was Maureen Koch for the town council, Carol Hagan McAtee, Andrew McNulty, Bob Traeger, and Ella Whaley. So it's a difference here. And then I also was surprised when I looked at the South Kingstown Chamber of Commerce in their Board of Election campaign contributions, and I found out that Ella Whaley was given $100 from the chamber, and Carol Hagan McAtee was also given two things. Again, public record, just information, just out there. Just want it clear if they're members. I just want it stated for the record of the information that's out there. That's all.
Michael, would you like to comment?
No, I'm not saying you have to recuse yourself. If you feel like you have to, that's fine, but I'm not asking. I just wanted public information. No, just adding for public information.
Okay.
I in no way feel that I would have to recuse myself for that reason. As I recall, yourself, Kathy, Polly, and everyone who ran for office, Jim, filled out answers to questionnaires and subjected all of ourselves to this process, including you.
Yeah.
And with that said, if you want to bring politics in it, maybe that's why you're feeling the way you did, because you didn't get endorsed.
No, I actually was looking
Michael?
for my, I was actually looking for
I
my.
think at this point, you really need to,
No, no, I was looking at
the
my letter,
political,
and
the
I.
political
and
piece needs to be
I
away
just
from this
wanna-
table.
Someone needs to move the question.
I said that I felt very uncomfortable. I'll answer any question anybody asks me, but I feel uncomfortable that the chamber is asking for endorsements, considering that we do give money to the chamber. That's exactly what I said to them. But I'll answer your questions, and I'm not looking for your endorsement. Okay.
And
I
really
just
would
want to
like
make my
keep
motion at
politics
this point.
Not here
You
at the
can call the
table.
question. That's fine. I'm ready to vote, Carol.
I'd like to move forward with the motion, but I see Jim's hand flying.
Kathy, what I did say, that I was a very proud member of the chamber.
Good, that's right, you did, and I said he did say it.
Yep. And yes, politics. I just read recently how the NEA, National Education Association, doubled their effort because they forgot that they endorsed you in the last political election. And boy, our town gives gives to the schools of 49 with the state, but 59 million, of which about 85% is for benefits. That was a low blow. You don't need to
No, I'm just
be
stating
that
public
dirt. You're the
record.
most venomous, poisonous human being to ever walk these
All right,
chambers. Kathy.
excuse me.
You are a
Question,
horrible
excuse
human
me,
being.
Jim, okay?
I'd like to move forward with the motion, if I may.
Okay. It was seconded. So we have a motion on the table, and it was seconded, and we're calling the question. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Abstention? Motion carries 3-2-0. And can we have a roll call vote, please, Dale?
Council President Whaley.
Yes.
Council Vice President McAtee.
Yes.
Councilwoman Eddy.
Nay?
Councilwoman Fogarty.
Nay.
Councilman O'Neill.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries 3-2-0. Which brings us to Communications B. This is a communication dated January 5th, 2012, from Peter Nightingale proposing adoption of a resolution requesting the General Assembly to increase funding for the Rhode Island Public Transit Authority system is received, placed on file, and the Town Council further directs.
I believe we discussed this at the work session, and we agreed to place this on file.
Any further comments? Do we have a motion and a second? Is that a motion, Carol, and a second? Jim?
Yeah, I think as we discussed at the work session, just, where's the money going to come from? I don't think anyone here would ever want to discount the importance of RIPTA, especially with those folks who don't have the ability to fund an automobile insurance, gasoline. But, gosh, I don't know where we're going to find the money, Ella. I do know RIPTA has let go of about a dozen people in their administrative offices. And it's a shame to put it on file, but that's probably all we can do at the moment. But we're certainly in sympathy, but we need to find the funds somewhere. And I guess it's not going to happen this year from the state.
Okay, any further discussion? Ready to vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries 5-0-0. We have Communication D. This is a communication received January 13th, 2012, from Chief Robert Perry of the Union Fire District of South Kingstown, inviting the Town Council to the district's annual awards recognition celebration on Thursday, February 9th, 2012, at 18:30 hours. That's 6:30 at the Elks Club, 60 Belmont Avenue, Wakefield, Rhode Island. Is received, placed on file, and the Town Council further directs.
I move that we accept the invitation. And
Second? Oh, sorry, Polly.
That's okay. enough.
And I know that Dale will be doing some resolutions for us, so. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries 500. Which brings us to E, a communication received January 17th, 2012, from the Gloucester Town Council requesting support of a resolution requesting amendment of Rhode Island General Law 16-7-23 as it relates to maintenance of effort with respect to regional school districts, debt service, and non-recurring debt service. Is received, placed on file, and the Town Council further directs.
We discussed this at the work session. I don't think we really are informed completely as to what they do in Gloucester, and we decided to place this on file, and I so move.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries 500. Brings us to F. This is a communication received January 18th, 2012, from the Exeter Town Council requesting support of a resolution entitled, "In the Aftermath, Tropical Storm Irene," requesting the state of Rhode Island to require National Grid to immediately implement the proper preventive maintenance measures for more regular tree trimming. Is received, placed on file, and the Town Council further directs.
Again, we discussed this at the work session, and I move that we place this also on file.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed, abstention, motion carries 500. Next item on the agenda is a communication received January 18th, 2012, from Councilman James O'Neill concerning casino gambling in the state of Rhode Island. Is received and placed on file, and the Town Council further directs. Jim?
Yeah, the resolution I put together here was basically my concern that the Massachusetts casino miracle is going to be on our doorsteps within a few years. Estimates range from anywhere from $100 to $150 to $200 million that the state of Rhode Island could lose of the $300 million plus we currently receive from the two casinos. What I wanted to do with this resolution was simply to let certain cities, like the cities of Newport and Providence, I'd like to encourage them, since they are mentioned more than any other city or town in the state of Rhode Island, that they'd move forward with a referendum. And I'd like to encourage them to move forward with that, because the state of Rhode Island, as well as this council, we cannot sit by and watch this kind of money disappear from Rhode Island general fund coffers over the next 3-4 years from now, when the building would be complete in Massachusetts. We need to, ahead of time, determine the economics of gambling, and that was really kind of the title of my resolution. And right now, the way I look at Twin River, as everyone knows, they filed bankruptcy almost 2 years ago. They're now owned by private equity firms, and I think anyone knows that gambling, believe me, I've fought against gambling in outside rural communities, but since we have it, since we're not going to wean ourselves off of it with the state of Rhode Island, we're best to have casino-style resort gambling. And since I personally believe that Providence and Newport are the best, it's up to their citizens to get their town councils, if they have that kind of interest, to move it forward. So we could see some results from a referendum, hopefully by this June, because in November, the state has already approved the ballot question to allow casino-style gambling in the state of Rhode Island. Hence, it would probably show up at Twin Rivers and probably Newport. But I'd like to hear from those cities, because I believe, and you just looked at the paper last Thursday, unemployment in the state of Rhode Island went up to 10.8% from 10.5%, but right below it, the big box, the only economic growth in the state of Rhode Island is tourism. And I passed out a sheet of 4 newspaper articles tonight, both pro and con, looking at Mayor Cicilline, who didn't want an active resort casino at Twin Rivers and Newport because it would take away the tremendous efforts made in Providence to bring that city back. And then another article saying, why send money out of the state? Why not work within this major destination city such as Newport and Providence? Work with the licensing board so it would only be gambling, so it wouldn't interfere with the cultural, arts, music centers of Providence and Newport. And given Providence has 40 acres now to work with the I-95, 195 movement, I think somehow or another I would like to encourage the cities and towns who have an interest in this to move forward with their referendum. I think it can be done by this June. I think we need to encourage them. It's up to their voters, but this is so important here because I don't know how we are going to handle another hit of $150 million in 3 years. We saw it with the car tax. It's so painful. You see what's going on with the car tax now, how the car tax, the new revaluations could affect South Kingstown. That's going to be on discussion list in a few weeks. This is imperative. I know the General Assembly needs to maintain this revenue source, so how to best use this economically. So I can't speak for Providence and Newport. I know Newport's moving forward with a request to ask for that referendum. Maybe Providence will do the same. And at the work session tonight, Ella, you and Carol had some good ideas how to fix this my resolution, to move it forward to try to get some response from those particular towns.
Comments here at the table. Carol?
You do have some good points, Jim, and the reality of casinos is in the surrounding states is obviously there in one state and imminent in the other. And we have to deal with that reality and where the money from our residents is going to go. So although I think we really have to take a good hard look at gambling, I don't like to get into the business of telling other cities what their town council should do. I think they're the best representatives of the will of the people. And but I think we discussed at the work session possibly sending and correct me if I'm wrong, a letter to inquire as to the interest in Providence and Newport. And I don't know how far you want to go with that, though, what their interest is in the casinos and the future of it in their cities.
Right, I think what we talked about is possibly asking Dale to pull some of the information from your resolution, Jim, and craft a letter to Newport and Providence. And then if there is an interest there and they put forward a resolution, obviously we could support that. So is that?
I would appreciate that. I would like it obviously to go to their respective councils. And they know, everyone in the state is well aware of just what could be the cost here over the next 3, 4, 5 years, and it's a tremendous potential cost. And what's the smart way to bring gambling, specifically the resort style, not the slots. Twin River can keep their slots, whatever, but the resort style. Could this really benefit Newport and Providence? Conventioneers, conferences, more hotel rooms when we keep looking at the increase of our tourism dollars. So I'd appreciate it if you could include the resolutions just to let them know that at least a resolution was tabled for now, but this is something that we might consider down the line, but would like to hear from their councils just how they feel about this issue.
Before we vote on the resolution.
Yes. Yeah. And I might mention something else. Believe me, this gambling world is crazy right now. Just the Wall Street Journal a couple of weeks ago, both Mohegan Suns and the Pequot, both of them could not refinance their debt. That shows you how scary this whole business is. These guys have been in business longer than anyone. They could not refinance. Now, their bonds are not being called by the folks that own them, but they could not refinance their debt at huge rates. This gives you an idea of just how delicate this whole thing is and how fragile our share of the pie is. In goodness sakes, if Foxborough gets it, near the Gillette Stadium, New Bedford, Suffolk could do slots. I mean, it's going to be a tremendous financial penalty for this area.
So do I hear a motion?
Yeah, here's what I would suggest, that we move that a resolution has been brought before the South Kingstown Town Council, and that we have currently, I don't know if we want to table it or put it off, and we would respectfully request a response from Newport and Providence as to their desires and wishes for this type of casino in their communities, and would they just get back to us and let us know how they see it and what their plans are. I don't know, does that say it, Jim?
Yeah, that covers it.
And you could attach the resolution and say, we don't want to act on it now until you act first.
Right, if this resolution is going to be,
Be
is there...
attached.
Right, is all of the verbiage,
Just, I mean, simply to mention in the letter that we're not going to act on this. We want to hear from their councils how they feel about the situation with the gambling and whether or not their cities and towns have an interest in moving forward. I know Polly had a couple of thoughts on that.
No, I would agree with that, but I wanted some of the wording changed in the resolution.
right, so that's what...
Yeah.
That's what I,
All right.
Well, I'd like to let them see that we're
Jim,
not
want-
acting on that we're not going to act on that, but as an enclosure.
No.
That's all.
I would
Just
change
an
the
enclosure.
verbiage before I sent that to anybody.
Right, I think that some of the verbiage, they're going to look for a few changes with the verbiage.
Would you be willing to do that,
Yes,
Jim?
yeah,
A few
yeah,
changes in the verbiage, because I have not marked my copy, but I can.
Oh, you're always picking on my
I
pluperfects.
know, I know.
All right, does anybody want to work on the verbiage? I can start with the second one. I have no problem with the first one. The second one? The officials have sat on their hands, if we could,
Yeah, that's got to go.
Which one?
second one.
Second one?
Rhode Island officials have sat on their hands.
Oh, yeah.
I probably should have changed that as Massachusetts began this discussion 5 years ago.
So we're just getting rid of that whole second one? Is that right?
Okay, do,
That's fine.
What are you leaving?
That's fine.
Yes.
yep.
Okay.
So get rid of the second one. I don't have a problem with the third and fourth.
No?
Oh, this is not good. Yeah.
How about the fifth? We all set?
The I don't want to appear venomous, but this does seem, the bondholders, the private equity firms, and the shielders get the money and run. There is no multiplier effect for the greater Rhode Island economy. I mean, it's overly dramatic, and
Yeah.
we can't, the state cannot lose their revenue sources, especially to that Massachusetts gambler.
I know.
I think that needs some clear work, but again,
Well, if we took out the state cannot lose, it was, especially the Massachusetts gambler, we could take that out, right?
I think it's missing a bit of the history here of how the voters have shot down this, and it's not that the legislators, I mean, this has come in front of the voters who said that they didn't want the casino, so I mean, that's not, reflected here, but again, I think that you should start with the letter and see where the cities and towns feel, and you'll probably see more of it in the paper as time progresses. There really should be also a look at another funding source besides the gambling. I don't know what that is, but I think the governor has even stated that, because if these are going to be built, what do we build another one in Providence? You're talking about Connecticut can't pay off its debt service, and we're going to build another casino that we won't be able to pay our debt. There's only so many people. I'm not a big fan of gambling. I know it is a source of revenue for the state, but, I see a full-blown table and casino as, preying on the citizens of the state, so it's very hard for me to endorse something like this. That's just my feelings on casinos in general.
And I don't disagree. It's, believe me, as I said earlier, I don't think we'll be able to wean ourselves off of it. And out of our $355 million of total receipts, almost $300 million are from Twin River and Newport Grand. So it's very unpleasant. I'm with you on that. I'm absolutely opposed to the gambling. But the General Assembly, I think, has said quite clearly that they'll do everything they can to keep this source of revenue. So it's just smart how best to plan for a resort-style casino.
I would just include that they have to really study the issue before we invest the money and not recoup any benefit from it.
Well, I think the licensing board will, they'll charge the various fees, all the partnerships that come in, Las Vegas, Macau, who knows where they'll come from. The licensing board, they're the ones with the state that will determine just what to charge, what the traffic will bear, what the market will bear, and move forward with it. I thought of Providence because they have that land to, that new 40 acres. This would be a small piece of it to go with their tremendous building and the beautiful resort results they've accomplished with the Cultural and Arts Center, and that would be part of the licensing agreement, that they not compete on that end of the business with them.
But isn't that where they wanted to put the knowledge-based business to try to take another way of,
Well, it is high-tech.
in improving the economy through the high-tech industry?
Yeah, well, gambling is high-tech now, too. It's crazy,
That
but
was-
it is.
So did we agree on number 5, the whereas number 5 and 6?
I don't know, can we do this at the next session? Can we try and redraft this? I mean, this is going to take,
Then
They have
what?
that
Then
possible
can the darn thing, can it, and just send a letter up. We want to hear what
I
it
mean,
is. The state has sat on their hands for 5 years, and I was willing to
Jim?
change that for 5 years, this issue has been before us, and here we are now getting to it. Throw the thing away.
Jim, 5 and
This
6,
is
if we
crazy.
can look at that, I mean, I think 7 and 8's fine, 10's fine. I think we just need to look at 11, so I don't think it's going to take, I mean, I read it prior to this meeting, and if we can move it on 5 and 6, we can,
so what about
Move it
6?
through,
Are we
right?
getting rid of 6?
It's getting too late. Just move it
Yeah,
through.
All right, unless we say Rhode Island needs to be smart about the economics of gambling. I don't know if we want to go into what Twin Rivers, the bondholders, private equity firms. I don't know about that. But we could put Twin Rivers produces the bulk of these state revenues, and just, you know,
But you
I
certainly
think
say
Providence
that,
and Newport are great destination resort communities. That's a great one.
You could certainly say that Twin Rivers will have the same right that anyone else has to bid for the resort-style licensing that'll take place in lieu of that one sentence I had in there.
All right. Number 7 is good, right? Anybody
7
have
and
problem
8, I
with
think is
8?
fine. 9?
I'd hate to see it on that unused land. I hope they do something better than that on the unused land on.
And I agree,
where they
Polly.
build.
I absolutely concur with you, but there is 40 acres. That's bigger than
They
the
could do
city of
some of it.
Providence. Yeah, I mean,
They could look at it.
Yeah, I mean, they've got a commission who'll make that decision anyway. I'm only suggesting a look at, but you're right.
So we okay with 9, or?
Yes.
Yeah, 9, 10 is good.
Okay, I have no problem with 10.
Okay.
And 11, that last sentence, because state officials have not planned in advance. Is there
Okay,
a
that's
different
fine.
verbiage that we could,
Just get that out.
Just cross it
Yeah.
out.
Any further increase in price.
and then
Yeah,
the
just
last,
End it at business taxes.
and I have, second line, in town council, on the last page, and town council throughout Rhode Island must move quickly and jointly with Providence and Newport. I have no problem with that one.
Okay,
All right.
Okay?
Yeah.
Dale, did you get all that?
so that will
No.
go as an attachment.
Okay, I've got mine marked pretty well, I think.
What did we
Except I don't have that
decide?
line that he put in number 6.
Right. Jim, what did, if I give you my copy, Jim, can you, and I can pass this on, can you rewrite number 6 and 5? I think we said it was okay. Is that how we left 5?
I'd be happy to rewrite it, and I'll pass it back to you.
Just 5 and 6, or just 6?
Well, we're just taking especially the Massachusetts Gambler out of 5, I thought.
Okay. Especially the Massachusetts Gambler. Okay, I'm going to pass it to you, so I think 5 at that point is okay. And 6
we're
you're going
taking
to
out the
rewrite.
last line, and he's putting in another line.
Rewrite on back. How's that? And then I'll pass my copy to you,
And we're
Dale.
still not passing it as a resolution, we're just attaching it as
Attaching
what's come forward.
Okay?
Right, correct.
All right?
Oh, gosh, don't let me lose
So
it.
there's
You're not
no
giving this
need,
to me, are
no
you?
need for
To
tempest
hold
to flare.
overnight?
We'll get through this.
Wait, do you want Jim to do this overnight?
If you would like,
Or I can do it
how
after
are
the
we
meeting.
going to, yeah, we
Start
need,
putting
we
it
really
together.
need to get
I'll
it.
give it back to you.
Yeah.
He'll do it right now.
All right, so this is item G on the agenda. So we are, we have a motion to send the letter?
Move that, Dale, that you send a letter with this revised attachment that this resolution has become before us. We have not voted to approve or disapprove it, but we'd just like to know what their interest in this resolution and the possibilities of gambling in their cities would be. Is that, say what you want to say, Jim?
Yep, thank you. Second, whatever.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries 500. Which brings us to comments from interested citizens. So I will open up the microphone at this time, if anyone would like to come to the mic. I just have a couple of things I'd like to bring to the attention of the community. On Thursday, January 12th, we had a really heartwarming session for many, many people in the state of Rhode Island at the Warwick Crown Plaza Hotel. And it was the inaugural induction ceremony of the Criminal Justice Hall of Fame. And we very proudly here in South Kingstown had our Chief Vespia inducted into the Criminal Justice Hall of Fame. And there could not have been a prouder moment for the town of South Kingstown. So we're honored for you, and we're thrilled. It was wonderful to see your family and to hear all of the wonderful things that were stated. So, welcome.
Thank you very much for those kind words. One of the things that added to my pride that night was that this council and the town manager personally came to the event. Jim, you could not make it, but you sent me a very nice congratulatory letter.
Did you
I
bring it?
appreciate that.
Did you bring it?
Yeah, I read it, and I'm going to save it. Thank you very much for coming. I thought it's important that the public knew and recognized the support that you have always given the police department and me personally. Thank you so much for those kind words.
You truly are a role model for all of the citizens here, and to see your grandchildren, I guess, at the table, it was just wonderful.
Chief, and if I might add that the chief from Wisconsin, Michaeline, sends his congratulatory remarks by way of Naples, Florida.
The other thing that I just wanted to state, that I attended the last Economic Development Committee meeting, and it was just, I felt a very, very good meeting, and look forward to meeting with Economic Development on February 29th. So, anybody here at the table have any dates or any festivities that they've attended on behalf of the Town Council? We have our goal-setting session tomorrow, a meeting with the Planning Board, 7 o'clock, and Washington County Regional Planning through Horsley Witten will be doing a presentation on transfer development rights, and then we will be coming into, I believe, the conference room, and the Town Council will proceed through an exercise with goal setting. So remember, Town Council members, to try to bring three thoughts of things that you'd like to discuss tomorrow night. With that said, we will move on to the town manager's report.
You've got all the documentation that I provided. I'd be glad to answer any questions on any of the information submitted. If there are no questions, I'll yield to the solicitor.
Questions for Steve? Seeing none. Town solicitor's report. Okay, and I believe there are no appointments. And this brings us to new business item B, and we're going to combine B and G together. So this is a resolution expressing the Town Council's opposition to the Rhode Island Senate redistricting proposal, E as amended, as approved by Rhode Island Reappointment Commission. And G is a resolution from Councilman James O'Neill in opposition to the Rhode Island Senate redistricting proposal, E as amended, as approved by the Rhode Island Reappointment Commission, as shown on Exhibit 2, attached here too. So at this time, I don't know if Steve has anything to say, or Dale, before I turn it over to Jim. Okay, Jim, you have the floor.
All right, I'll make this easy. I mean, I've gotten all my numbers from the redistricting commission appointed by the General Assembly. My concern is the Senate and what's happened to South Kingstown. So I'm going to ask you just to look at the maps that Steve passed out 2 weeks ago, which I passed out tonight with population numbers on them. And I want you to look at two areas. One, the southern flank of South Kingstown with 2,294 population. We're going to be in a Senate district. If you look to the west, Charlestown, 3,183, and then westerly, 22,787. We have now become, instead of having one South Kingstown district, we've now become a super minority in this district, Charlestown and Westerly. Take a look at the population differences, almost 23,000 in Westerly, 2,300 in South Kingstown, almost a 10-to-1 ratio. I guess you've got to tell me something I don't know about ever being heard. Talk about losing our voice in the Senate. So if that wasn't preposterous enough, it was our eastern flank, which I brought up at the last meeting. And if you look at that kind of a gray-blue on the right side, you'll see Narragansett with 8,610 population, Tower Hill, Middlebridge with 1,112 population. Then we go up to North Kingstown, 6,079 population. And then heading further north, East Greenwich with 12,430. Adding East Greenwich and North Kingstown, you're 18,500. We're about 9,500. At the southern pier, again, take a look at the tail is not going to wag the dog here. Someone who's got all the muscle in East Greenwich and North Kingstown, we are not going to have a voice in what we feel our growth right should be in our common borders. And that is what this has destroyed here. The Senate proposal that has been forwarded by Kim Brace, and he's been very forthcoming here with numbers to me, so on and so forth. But South Kingstown is just, all of a sudden we're going to have 3 parts of South Kingstown where now we have 1. But what's really been destroyed here are common borders. And I put together a recommendation pulling all of Narragansett, including some that's in District 36, all of Narragansett, and combine that with the southern third of South Kingstown to come up with the population number. That way we would have a common border, population that made sense, was common to both communities, South Kingstown and this particular area. You have about 140,000 people with these 5 Senate seats. Yes, there's a little maneuvering and adjustments, but you can make it all common border, commonality. Our commonality with Narragansett and our South Shore here, that is absolutely a given. What commonality do we have with the western part of North Kingstown and the southern and western part of East Greenwich? Absolutely nuts. And then to look at the southern shore, I mean, I'm not quite in this district, but look at the Snug Harbors, South County Hills, all the way to Green Hill. Absolutely no voice with this map. They have destroyed South Kingstown. They've made it irrelevant. They've taken any political power away, which we have none already. And I would like to think the courts in the United States have gone out of the way to protect minorities, reasonably so, to try to keep neighborhoods together so they could have a majority vote for representation in the various Congresses, state houses, on and on and on. Look what's happened to us. We are all of a sudden being put into a minority camp on our southern flank and eastern flank. This is crazy, and somehow or another, if there's any way that we can get Microcello, the ACLU, but we need to stop this in its tracks, have a redo, a rewrite by the Brace people, Kim Brace and the people that were hired by the General Assembly, and let us help, as I proposed in my resolution, let us help bring back common borders, common interests, business. We share the same water routes. We share dog pounds, sewers. It's incredible. There's no relationship with Westerly, who's going to have the power here, and no relationship with East Greenwich and North Kingstown. This is as simple as I can make it. Now, just to let you know how difficult this is and why normal citizens can't fight in this battle, let's say, probably can't even find it now. I brought in tonight comments from Kim Brace. And again, he was hired by the General Assembly. Good guy, very forward, so on and so forth here. Just to let you know how they determine population in the state of Rhode Island. There are 25,181 census blocks in the state of Rhode Island. 30% of them have no populations, some up to a couple of thousand, but most average about 50 to 60. This is incredible. So I asked Mr. Brace, I said, why wouldn't they have at least done this by voting districts, so on and so forth? And his comment was to me, and I'm quoting here, Jim, sorry about this. As a result, Rhode Island is the only state in the nation to have total blanks in any of the voting districts. This is unreal, but we won't go into politics. But the point is, I have to go up to the basement of the State House, have somebody get on there with little pixels, whatever they do, and try to get some population numbers for the rest of southern South Kingstown to round out my resolution, to give us the opportunity for 2 Senate districts for Narragansett, South Kingstown, the southern part of South Kingstown. It would only require a small overlap for what is Sue's district into her neighborhoods of Exeter and North Kingstown. We'd keep all common borders, makes sense, but 140,000 people can really be just moved around a little bit, played with so we can keep commonality. But my gosh, who else has more in common than South Kingstown and Narragansett? Look what they've done to us. I mean, this is, it just, I mean, when I started reading this in the newspapers 2 weeks ago, when I threw this in front of you, which I didn't mean to do, I apologize. I was just so amazed. You know what happens when all of a sudden, you know, they tell you when you take a look at something, you know, imagine the surprises. And believe me, Kim Brace has been very good helping me here, but this is just, this is really as though it was purposely done. What have we done in South Kingstown and Narragansett to receive this kind of treatment? But they're really taking away our eastern flank and our southern flank here. This is crazy. So anyway, if there's a way to move my resolution, even if you don't like my numbers, to have this stopped, or can the ACLU do it? Can Mike Ursillo do it? What do we do to get a say here? How do we get a say? And also, too, I've talked with a couple of councilors in Narragansett. They're going to consider it at the next meeting. I think they're as concerned as I am if our conversations that I've had with them go forward. They're very concerned about it. And citizens I've talked to, and this is why we need councils, and we need reporters, and we need editors to wake the folks up here, because very few people know about this. When I told people down in my area of Snug Harbor, South County Hills, they had no idea they'd become a minority. They thought they were in one Senate district. Or why not a coastal one with Narragansett? Tower Hill, Middlebridge, they have no idea that they're being thrown into East Greenwich. This is nuts. Anyway, what say you? And what say Mike Ursillo when it comes, since that's my big question, or if the council wants to go first, please, however.
No, Mike, I would welcome Mike or Dale or Steve.
Well, believe it or not, I actually do have some experience in this, but you're not going to want to hear what my experience is, but I just need to tell you. 10 years ago, the town of Bristol faced something similar. They took a piece of Bristol and attached it to Barrington. Now, you got to remember, Warren is in the middle of Bristol and Barrington. And so the joke was that they were contiguous by water because there wasn't even a land connection. They just took a piece of Bristol and stuck it onto Barrington, missing Warren completely. So the town of Bristol hired, redistricting law is very specialized. So the town hired a law firm that specialized in this. They hired expert witnesses to testify against the witnesses that the legislature had hired to show why this was so incredibly wrong. Well, $50,000 later, the town lost. It seems that unless you can point to a specific protected minority group.
Well, we are now.
Legislatures from the U.S. Supreme Court on down, I mean, there are these famous cases where districts the shape of a snake have been drawn, and they've actually been upheld by the U.S. Supreme Court. So, unfortunately, legislatures are granted ample discretion to draw these maps, and the only ones that I'm aware of that have been successful are the ones that put a minority group at a disadvantage. So, can you fight it? Yes, it will require expenditure, a large expenditure of money. And by the way, they decided not to appeal the Superior Court decision to the Supreme Court because their own special legal counsel told them, you know, chances are you're not going to win in the Supreme Court. That probably would have been another $35,000 or $40,000 on top of the $50,000. So Jim, it's extremely expensive. You bash your head against the wall, and I feel your frustration, but I have to tell you, legally, it'll be extremely difficult, if not impossible. I tried calling you today about all that.
Oh, all right, well, how about in reverse here? Things have really changed over, I mean, I'm looking at Texas, California, I'm looking at how the courts are ruling now. And yes, minorities, you know, why can't that definition be broadened? Why all of a sudden, when we had, we were part of a majority Senate seat, then now with our two flanks, we're becoming a minority interest. I don't care if it's all white, all black, I don't care what it is. Look now what's happened to us.
It's amazing what politicians can do. But anyhow, so that would require, you probably would really want to, as a council, you'd have to decide you wanted to support a legal challenge. I mean, a legal challenge is very different from sending the resolution, sending the letters, pleading with our legislators to do something about this. But if you want to go the next step, then we are going to have to talk about hiring special legal counsel that has expertise in this area. And as expensive as the legal counsel is, just as expensive are the people you have to hire to counter the experts who the legislator hired that have put their imprimatur on this. So it's...
But what's so great about this, and easy, this isn't a minority situation. This looks as though people are choosing their voters and that they've rewarded some well, you don't have to nod your head, we all know.
That's powerful.
Is there a step short of that where we don't have to spend the money? Can we send something to the General Assembly or the governor?
You can certainly send a resolution or a letter.
Or would it be helpful
If I
to...
hadn't had this experience in Bristol and lived through it for 2 years, it was I was very amazed. Again, a district was declared legal that skipped an entire town.
Yeah.
This doesn't skip towns. It attaches you to other towns, but it doesn't jump over a town.
Right.
It has a corridor. It looks like Middlebridge is like a corridor to East Greenwich.
Is it possible to not only send the resolution, but to request a meeting with this Kim Bryce, or maybe some of our legislators? Is that a
Whatever Mike and
possibility?
Steve might feel more fruitful. Carol, you had your hand up. I mean, or whatever. I'd listen to anyone's suggestions here of how we can be recognized here, that maybe they should give this a second look.
They're going to hear the bill in early February.
Right.
Jim, can I
can't
just
afford
ask you a
to do this,
question
but-
on this? Green Hill it looks like it was in 38. Is that right? Is that Green Hill, that 3,800?
No, the 2294 is Green Hill. That
Oh, that's
white
Green
line
Hill.
is South
Okay.
Kingstown from Charlestown.
All right, sorry.
Yep.
So that starts Charleston, okay.
Yep.
So we're only talking about 37, and that 2294, and then Narragansett, where it's, 8610? That wasn't in the district before. That was in District 36. So we're talking about the narrow river line that takes out Middlebridge of the 1,112 and the 2,294. I just want to make sure I'm clear on this. And it does look like they used Middlebridge Road as a corridor to get to East Greenwich. I mean, it does look that way.
Yeah, believe it or not, the line is actually Tower Hill Road. It's east of TowerLl.
Oh, it is?
Yep.
And the river, though, it looks like between the river and the road.
It's the south side of Route
East side of Tower Hill, yeah, the east side. Yep.
I think we can certainly express our dismay with this and how we don't think it adequately represents South Kingstown, which has always been a consolidated group of voters. And see if we can send it to the legislators and show up at meetings, hearings.
Can we anger them into suing us? There's got to be a way to
Get their attention.
look at this, get their attention. How do we do it? Believe me, if I had the money, I would take this battle on. This is so obnoxious what has happened here.
I think you could probably call Steve Brown and see what he feels about it. He's very easy to talk to.
Okay.
What do you think?
Mike?
Mike, I've
I
spoken
saw
to him
that face,
before.
Mike.
I don't know how much time he'll give you on the phone.
You could try.
Oh, gosh.
Well, I definitely think that we need to send something. I'm still toying with, even though it's the beginning of February, is there a request for a meeting?
Can we just send something emergency to Kim Brace? Just simply say that, and include as an addendum, my resolution hasn't been voted on, but what was the thinking here to tear South Kingstown apart?
That's a good plan, and what Dale put in the agenda, a resolution expressing the town council's opposition to the Rhode Island State Redistricting Proposal E as amended, and as it pertains to South Kingstown and Narragansett.
Yeah. I'm sure South Narragansett, who has a
And-
meeting next week, will also do the same, at least the council people I spoke to. So yes, I mean, Polly knows I'd like to have stronger adjectives.
I know.
Much stronger adjectives. But this is, somebody missed something here.
So, Jim-
Somebody went out for cocktails
We
while
could
they were.
use your numbers.
Pardon?
We could use your numbers, that the 2,229 have been cut out and shipped towards.
Those are actually all Kim Brace's
And then-
numbers. These are numbers
And then the
right out of
1,112 that have been
Yep.
shipped towards East Greenwich along with the tail end of Narragansett.
That was all part of your package that I had, that Steve sent out last Thursday night. It's all in, all the numbers from Kim Brace, the House rules, Senate rules, so on and so forth.
Did he give you any clue, Jim, as to what the reason of doing it this way was?
No, he just said it's so much work because Rhode Island, remember I just quoted you, the only state. They cross voting districts, they cross swamps, and it's this little pixel of blocks, 25,000 blocks of people in Rhode Island. Can you imagine?
Yes, no.
That's why no citizen can figure out what's happening. Holy cow. But
there
anyway,
isn't
yeah,
any
we
sense in
really
it.
need, Dale probably said it right. I mean, there's a stronger word than dismay.
So Jim, do you want us to go through line, item by item here, or can we just request that Dale pick from the data that you have and add it to the resolution B?
Yeah,
Or
let's
do you
do
want
it.
us to go through?
No, you don't have to go through here. This map says it all, and my resolution really copied the map. And my resolution for a solution was just moving these lines a little bit so commonality of borders would become the rule, not the exception.
Cover letter, I can use some of Jim's points as to our shared services.
Mhm.
Shared services, we share borders, and some, I can put
Yeah,
That would be fine.
that in a cover letter.
I think that's a good idea.
Comfortable?
'Cause-
All right.
You do a great job.
Little oomph, please. Oh, just a little more oomph into those adjectives. Maybe Steve's waiting. Steve needs to comment on this. I know he does.
Okay, do we have a motion?
Oh, adverbs, yes, all right.
I think that number 5, where you say the proposed Senate district of 3538 will make South Kingston voters taxpayers irrelevant, I mean, in regard to state matters with no voice, that might be true.
We're
that
we're
could
going to
very
have a
well-
westerly senator, and we're going to have an East Greenwich senator running parts of South Kingston.
Oh, I agree with you, Jim. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm saying that we could probably say something like that by taking them out. I'm not
Okay.
fighting with you.
Oh, all right, okay.
And that we have a history of common interests, common boundaries, waterways. Number 7, insulting and unjustified. I don't know if we need to go that far. And then number 8 sounds good.
And 9 is just,
9 is good.
Pathetic, no,
Take out
9
is nothing short of pathetic and dishonest. Just take that out.
All right, put in politicals, nothing short of
All right,
political,
so
rather
Dale-
than pathetic and dishonest. Oh,
Dale
God.
will do a wonderful job, I'm sure.
Dale will do a fine job.
Dale, I know. she-
Thank you, Jim, for doing this work.
Very
We have
interesting.
a motion. Thank you. at 5 of 11, someone needs to make a motion.
I move that Dale send a letter using certain paragraphs from Jim's resolution to the General Assembly, who do you want to send it to? The governor, our local
Well, it certainly
delegation?
should go to Kim Brace.
Kim Brace.
Dale went to the high school meeting that I went to. There's-
Why don't we send it to the governor, too? Let's send it
Governor
to
and
Narragansett,
Piper Weed
let's
and
send it to
Fox.
everyone.
Yep. Yep.
So the General Assembly, both House and Senate, the governor, the Narragansett, and what was the man's name?
Kim Bryce.
Kim Bryce.
Yeah, Dale's got all of his,
in detailing our opposition to the way the Senate map is drawn as it concerns South Kingstown and Narragansett residents.
Is that a motion?
Southern Narragansett. That's my motion.
so,
I'll send it to the leadership.
okay, so
And to the local delegation, please.
and I'll certainly second that.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. So.
Any discussion?
Any discussion?
Ella?
Jim?
I would like to think that these numbers speak quite loudly. This is right from Kim Brace. And I don't know how it happened. I don't want to think about it. But I'm glad we're going to send this to our local reps, because I'll be damned if Jim O'Neill has to spend 40 hours on this the last 2 weeks, and not one of our House reps have said, this is wrong, we're going to support you. Not one. Not a Tansy, not a
Well,
Dickinson.
have they known?
Not
Let's
a
be-
Walsh, not a
hold on.
Lally. Not one said this is wrong.
Have they even had the conversation? Have you talked to them about it?
Why do we need to talk? They're part of this. They've seen this. They've been interviewed in the newspapers. Oh, it's going to pass. Don't worry about it. Well, that's sure great representation.
I believe that Representative Lally was the only one on the reapportionment commission that voted against it.
Right, yes, and I will give him
Wow.
credit for that, yes. Yep, I will.
Kathy?
I'd like to add that I did watch this on the State House, and Representative Dickinson did argue against it on his behalf of his territory. Nobody else is his own.
Yes, as a matter of fact, I acknowledge Representative Dickinson at the last meeting. I said in the newspapers, he was the only one to say, this is really, something's out of place here. But nobody came to us and said, hey, guys, you need to fight this, and we'll fight with you. That's the difference. Do we have to vote on this, or we have to vote on
Yes, we need to vote.
Yeah, I realize the time and the effort that you put into that, Jim. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries 500. Which brings us to new business item C. This is a resolution authorizing an additional $500,000 for construction.
5,000.
I'm sorry, 5,000. What did I say, 500,000?
Yes.
Yeah, it's 11
Well, they're
o'clock.
just zeros, Ella.
A resolution authorizing an additional $5,000 for construction administration costs for the animal shelter design project, originally awarded on January 28, 2008 to Architectura Incorporated, 1005 Main Street, Suite 2111, Pawtucket, Rhode Island, in the amount of $75,000 to be paid in 3 phases. $7,500 for schematic design, $52,500 for design development and construction negotiation, and $15,000 for construction administration, supplemented by an award on December 8, 2008 for $8,000 in contingency funds for reimbursable cost, and supplemented by an award on January 10, 2011 for an additional $15,000 for construction administration cost, and is further described in a memorandum from the police chief to the town manager dated January 11, 2012, and entitled Request for Supplemental Construction Administration Fees, Architectural Services for Construction of the New Animal Shelter Facility, Final Phase.
I move approval of new business item C.
I think Steve would like to speak.
Nope, he's
No?
fine, it's 5,000.
Polly,
Second
thank you.
Polly.
We have a motion and a second. Further discussion?
I thought Steve wanted to comment on this. Yeah. Exactly. Yep, okay, thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries 500. Which brings us to page 6. Let's see. Actually, I have to go to the bottom of
E.
Yeah, I had two blank pages in mine. We have,
Yeah.
okay, E, a resolution authorizing the town clerk to advertise by reference for a public hearing relative to proposed amendments to the zoning ordinance, Article 8, signs, Section 803, signs prohibited in all zoning districts concerning the use of changeable animated electronic technologies. Someone want to bring forward a motion on this?
Motion to approve new business item E.
Second?
I do believe that...
I think we had a discussion, can I?
Yes, go.
Regarding a meeting on February, do you have that? February 15th with,
8th or 15th.
Tectonics.
trying to set that meeting up with experts from the sign industry regarding LED, changeable signs, and whatever the state-of-the-art electronic sign would be, and how to control brightness, illumination, changes, all different things. So that was what we were going to try next. And that would be open to the public, and we'd include the planning board, the economic development committee, and all interested parties.
Chamber, emails, public.
However, I am advertising this for public hearing on the 27th,
Of,
which is the sunshine,
okay,
Right,
all right,
right.
sunset.
okay.
And those businesses were Tectonics, and then Sunrise Systems, Massachusetts, and then Joel Holtquist. I believe they were going to...
But
Invite.
even if we only get one, we need a little education. I mean, I don't even know
we
how
do.
you measure light. Is it candle power, foot candles? I see all these definitions. I'd just love to have a quick education, because I think we'd all be in agreement, how do we have less light pollution? But as Polly said the last time after the meeting, we were talking just some more direct information, how to do it, whether it's LED, but we want to reduce the light pollution in the community, so. But if only one of those people can, at least we can learn something.
Yes.
But we can't keep putting this off.
Very
Okay.
good, okay.
So we have a motion, and we have a second.
Second.
And any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries 500. Which brings us to F. This is a resolution authorizing Westerly Innovations Network, 24 Littlebrook Road, Westerly, Rhode Island, to install a receptacle and collect used cooking oil at the Rose Hill Regional Transfer Station, as further described in memorandum from the Public Services Director to the Town Manager dated January 5th, 2012, and entitled Rose Hill Regional Transfer Station Used Cooking Oil Recycling Authorization.
I move approval of new business item F.
Second.
Motion and a second, and I just want to say kudos.
Absolutely.
You know, I'm just really impressed, and I'm
They gave a
thrilled.
great presentation
Yeah.
when they were here.
I'm thrilled that this has moved forward. So, any further discussion?
No, the kids were great. Yeah, you're right, Ella and Carol. I think Polly, yeah, the kids were absolutely wonderful. And,
So, ready to vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries 500. G is a resolution from,
We
we
did
already
that.
did G,
No, we did that.
and this concludes. We have
Motion to adjourn?
Second?
motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Motion adjourned at 11:02. Thank you.